Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to get you styled up with Stitch Fix. Shopping's hard. It's hard. With Stitch Fix, you get a stylist, though, who understands your style, your size, your budget, and they do all the shopping for you.
Wow.
This is excellent. Shopping, I'm telling you, shopping and figure out your style, it's overwhelming. Let somebody help you when it comes to getting dressed. We don't know what we're doing, so we let Stitch Fix help us out. A Stitch Fix stylist there. They know what works on us. We get the prices that make us look really good, and it feels good. You get some confidence boost walking around knowing that you're looking decent here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we just give the stylist our sizes, style, budget preferences. We order boxes when we want, how we want, no subscription or any of that required. And they send called Just For Me pieces as well. Like, maybe you'd like this, and it's awesome. Outfit recommendations, styling tips. You keep what you love, you send back the rest. It's super easy.
Yep.
You can do it, and we are doing it because it's excellent. Personal styling for everyone. Get started today at stitchfix.com/STM. That's stitchfix.com/STM.
Now back to the show.
Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit more about Rocket Money. It's the start of a new year. It's the perfect time to get organized, set your goals, prioritize what matters most. And for me, top priority is getting myself together here. Financial wellness, doing that, which that feels important, you know? Just feels like adult stuff that you have to do. And thanks to Rocket Money, my goals feel achievable now. They show me all my subscriptions in one place, help me easily cancel ones I forgot that I've been paying for, which happened to me. Absolutely happened to me. I had, for years, I was paying for something. I was like, what is going on here? Rocket Money found it and saved me lots of money since then, because it's been a while. So they did a great job here. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/smalltownmurder today. That's rocketmoney.com/smalltownmurder. rocketmoney.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
Hi, I'm Ashley Flowers, and if you're like me and grew up watching America's Most Wanted and reading Nancy Drew, then hi, you're a crime junkie. And I bet that passion for solving mysteries never went away, which is why we've assembled a team of reporters to dig deep into all the cases we still obsess over. Each Monday, my best friend Britt and I will bring you a case that you won't be able to stop thinking and talking about. So join us by listening to Crime Junkie wherever you listen to podcasts.
This week, in Muscatine, Iowa, when two people are found murdered on the same morning, it becomes a huge mystery. Was it a murder-suicide motivated by jealousy, or a dark, twisted plot set up to make it look that way? Welcome to Small Town Murder. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Small Town Murder.
Yay!
Oh, yay indeed, Jimmy. Yay indeed. My name is James Petrogallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Jimmy Wisman.
Thank you, folks, so much for joining us on a crazy, man, this one is twisted, too. I can't wait. Iowa not going to let us down. It's interesting. We'll get to it, though. Iowa always is. They come hard, Iowa, on the murder. They really do. That didn't sound right. They come hard on murder, I just said. That's cervix. Wow. Unbelievable. So we'll get to that quickly. First, head over to shutupandgivememurder.com. You definitely want to get your tickets for live shows. Holy hell, the whole year's available, 2023, and tons of them are selling out fast.
Yeah, they are.
Boston in November's already sold out. Salt Lake sold out. San Diego's almost there. Denver's almost there. Minneapolis is almost sold out.
Yeah.
Get all these tickets. Chicago also. Get your tickets to that. And
still a few for Portland and Seattle tonight.
Portland and Seattle. Yes, if you're listening to this when it comes out, we are there the 23rd, 24th in Seattle, 2 shows, and then we are in Portland on the 25th for 2 shows on one night.
Yes.
So get there for that. Also, the 5th in Detroit, the 6th in Pittsburgh of May. Get there for those, and then the whole rest of the year. We can't wait.
And they're moving. Yeah.
April 20th, virtual live show, 420 show.
Yeah.
I am going to get Jimmy stoned and tell him a murder story, and he's going to giggle till his head explodes. Wait till you see the different apparatus I have for him to partake in. Oh, it's going to be, Jimmy, you have no idea what you're in for. It's going to be amazing.
I am not putting on a helmet.
It's not a helmet. It's all sorts of other stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun. Check all that out. ShutUpAndGiveMeMurder.com. You can get that virtual live show. You can watch it or watch it again or whenever for a week after the 20th also. So get your tickets right now. ShutUpAndGiveMeMurder.com. Also, you certainly want to head over to Patreon for patreon.com/crime in sports and get all the bonus materials. That's right. We got 4 years worth of bonus episodes on there. Tons of stuff to binge on. Anybody $5 a month or above, you get all of that. And every other week you get 2 new episodes.
Great.
1 crime and sports, 1 small town murder. You get access to it all. This week, what you're going to get for crime and sports, we're going to talk about the worst beginning of a professional sports franchise in history, the 0-26 Tampa Bay Buccaneers and how that happened, why their uniforms look like a creamsicle, why is there a man winking at me from the helmet, what's going on there?
Yeah, they may have been 0-26, James, but they were 26-0 in games they lost.
That's every time, every time. And then for small town murder, a very requested one, we're going to talk about Jodi Arias and find some crazy stuff to talk about there because, man, was that a wild case. And we were both in Phoenix for it, and I've read a few books on it, and there's a lot to talk about with Jodi Arias. So we'll talk all about her. Yeah, Jimmy loves Jodi Arias. So a lot of fun unless you're going to take a shower. Then you're going to lock that door.
The bathroom door, not just the shower.
That's what I mean. Bathroom doors I'm talking about. Close that room off.
Bad bitch.
Patreon.com/crime and sports is where you get all of that, and you'll get a shout out at the end of the show where Jimmy will mispronounce your name while he would love so much to get it correct.
Nice.
That said, disclaimer, this is a comedy show. We're comedians. That doesn't mean that the story isn't real. Unfortunately, every detail of the story is real and meticulously researched and everything like that. But jokes will be made here and there as well. They are. We're comedians. It's going to happen. We're going to make jokes about small towns, and you're going to take it like a roast and be an adult about it. And we're going to make jokes if a police force messes up something for 5 years, let some murderer walk free. We'll make fun of that. We'll make fun of murderers because that's the only recourse we have as comedians. But what we do not do, what we go out of our way not to do, is we don't make fun of the victims or the victims' families.
Why, James?
Because we're assholes, but we're not scumbags.
There
and
it is.
that's how that goes. If that sounds good to you, holy hell do we have a story for you. And I think you'll definitely want to sit back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where are you? Getting ice cream with your kid? You getting a nice cone right now? A springtime,
nearby?
springtime cone. Well, I want you to look your kid right in the eye.
Yeah.
Like you're doing something very sweet. Wipe the ice cream from their cheek, then slap it off. Slap that ice cream right off the cone. Stand up, arms to the air, and shout, "Shut up and give me murder." Let's do this, Jimmy. What do you say?
Right.
Let's go on a trip, shall we?
Okay.
We are going to Iowa today. Yes, we're going to corn country indeed.
Yeah.
We're going to Muscatine, Iowa. Which, like we said, sounds like a drink order for an older gentleman.
Or an apparatus that you put a bitter drink in.
Something, yeah. Put it in the Muscatine. I want it in there. That'll be much tastier.
Carried around in my Muscatine.
This is in eastern Iowa, which is, it's right on the Illinois border, just the river separating Iowa from Illinois. So it's right there in kind of eastern central Illinois, like down in terms of north-south, it's central.
Yeah.
It's about 2.5 hours to Des Moines, about 1 hour and 10 to Cedar Rapids, 2 hours and 12 minutes to Albia, Illinois, which was our last Illinois episode, which was actually, or Iowa, I said Illinois, which was actually very wild. Beer, Sex, and Jealousy was the name of that, so that tells you a lot. This is in Muscatine County, of course.
Oh, town and the county.
Let's name it all. Area code 563, motto of this town, the Pearl of the Mississippi.
I'll bet it is.
Or the Pearl City.
Oh.
So, yeah, a lot of pearl stuff.
There are no pearls there, are there?
Well, we'll talk about it. There's buttons that were made that look like pearls that were made from muscles.
Snaps.
So, yeah, that's what they made there.
We're going with muscle pearls.
The muscle pearl. Well, they're not really pearls. They just made...
It's the shell.
It's interesting stuff. We'll talk about this here. Mark Twain lived in the city briefly during the summer of 1855 while working at the local newspaper, the Muscatine Journal.
Okay.
That's interesting. His brother was a partial owner of it. So there you go. Here's what he said about Muscatine, Mark Twain. I love when Mark Twain has quotes about shit because he's like a comic, so he roasts everything, and it's hilarious. He said, "And I remember Muscatine, still more pleasantly for its summer sunsets. I have never seen any on either side of the ocean that equaled them. They used the broad, smooth river as a canvas and painted it on every imaginable dream of color, from the mottled daintiness and delicacies of the opal all the way up through cumulative intensities to blinding purple and crimson conflagrations which were enchanting to the eye, but sharply tried it at the same time. All the upper Mississippi region has these extraordinary sunsets as a familiar spectacle. It is the true sunset land. I'm sure no other country can show so good a right to the name. The sunrises are also said to be exceedingly fine. I do not know."
Oh, he saw one sunset.
He's a late night guy, is what he's saying. He doesn't get up for sunsets.
Oh, got it.
He's like, I don't fucking get up that early, but I hear they're nice.
I've heard tell of some nice ones.
Yeah, that whole paragraph was to joke about how he doesn't get up early. That's
not bad.
Yeah, that's 1800s to you.
Very Norm Macdonald.
You could really go a long way around to get to something in the 1800s. There wasn't It wasn't like a YouTube thing where you're like, 10 seconds, click it off. You had a while. So
you better sit tight.
So buttons were a big thing here. In 1884, J.F. Beppel, Boepple, Beeple, either one, a German immigrant, he founded a pearl button company. And he produced buttons that look like pearls by a machine punching them from freshwater mussel shells. So it's the shells. It's the inside of the shells have that kind of pearly.
The purple shell. Yeah.
This was a big deal apparently. And then in 1915, Weber and Sons Button Company Inc. was the world's largest producer of fancy freshwater pearl buttons, and they were there too. And Muscatine became known as the pearl button capital of the world.
Wow.
Which
we don't make the shirt, but we'll send you the buttons.
Yeah, they're like BASF. We don't make the shirt that you're wearing. We make the buttons on your shirt better. So they had, they're still manufacturing buttons. In 2004, they celebrated their 100th anniversary of button making.
Wow.
So if you have a fancy button that looks like a pearl, it's from this town probably, more than likely.
But is it? It's got to be buttons, right? Not snaps. Is it? Do you think it's the snap?
It's probably
pearl snaps.
You could probably make buttons out of them too. Fancy buttons. I don't think we buy the type of shirts that have pearl buttons. Right now, I'm wearing a hoodie with frayed sleeves, and you're wearing a Spud Webb T-shirt. Like, I don't think this is for us. I think we could sit here all night, and we're not going to get it right.
But I wonder, are they selling them to Wrangler for like their pearl snaps?
No,
are they vague? Do you know what I mean? Are they broad stroking what a button is, or are they just doing a button?
I think this is like for like a lady's blouse
something
that's got a big button,
Paris,
or like something where a shirt you need cufflinks for. You know,
some fine shit.
Yeah. How many shirts do you have that need cufflinks?
0.
Thank you. Yeah. So this isn't for us.
Do you want to know what I own?
This isn't for us. I own one.
I own one pair of cufflinks and 0 shirts I can put them in.
I own one pair, and I only got it because my grandmother died last year.
Yeah.
If I didn't have... That's it.
French cuff,
and I didn't even know it was. I bought a shirt, and it turned out to be, I was like, oh, fuck, now I got to buy cufflinks.
I can't fasten these.
I didn't know where to buy cufflinks. I didn't know what to do. So that was just another issue that I had.
Great, I got a useless shirt.
It took my grandmother dying for me to get to be anywhere near this. I didn't even have a suit before that. So... All right, let's get to reviews of this town.
Yeah.
By the way, Muscatine's also known as the watermelon capital of the world.
Well, the South is going to have something to say about that.
It's apparently no. They have a lot of water. I mean, Iowa grows. They have soil there. I mean, shit.
Yeah.
They can grow anything in Iowa. It's all farms. The whole goddamn place is farms.
I didn't know it was warm enough for watermelons long enough, right?
Besides that one baseball field, it's all farms.
Okay.
That's it. So 5 stars. Here's the first review here. 5 stars. Muscatine has many things to offer anyone who comes to visit.
Okay.
So right away, they're laying it down in broad strokes.
Go on. Yeah.
Recently, the city of Muscatine added a new hotel called the Marl, Well, it's not the city that did it. Someone opened a hotel there. Right? The city's not like, we need a hotel.
They're giving broad credit to everybody involved in approving it.
The whole council. The Merrill is perfectly placed on the newly renovated River Drive overlooking the Mississippi River. In addition to the hotel being directly downtown, this is a small place. Downtown isn't saying much. You are surrounded by the many family-owned shops and restaurants located up and around 2nd Street to visit on a stay in Muscatine. Okay? There are always things to do in Muscatine, such as painting classes at Boonies on the Avenue.
Okay.
Oh, boy. Karaoke on Wednesday nights at Mississippi Brew. Yes.
Worst.
And they spell Mississippi wrong on purpose, or Mississippi, not Mississippi. They say it Mississippi Brew. A Muscatine crafted beer from Contrary and Activities at Weed Park. What? A Muscatine crafted beer from Contrary and Activities at Weed Park. I don't know what that means. Yeah. I feel like it
must be a brewery, right?
I don't know. I feel like this is or either that or it's speak to text, and they're fucking it all up. These are just a few things to do on a visit to Muscatine, Iowa. Well, none of those sound good, so I'm moving on to 4-star. You didn't sell me on it, but thanks. No. 4 stars. Very small, but a character-filled town. Does that mean people have character, or there's a bunch of characters walking around? Which one?
I'm worried about the character.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Many well-decorated, funded, and organized boutiques, cafes, and family community events. Beautiful nighttime/daytime scenery of the river and light-up bridge. Good for boating, fishing, floating, and sledding. Well, it's a river, so it's going to be good for
That's what they do.
Boating and floating and fishing.
Those are all the things you do there.
That's what you do. Small town vibe with smaller communities in contact about 20 minutes away. Close proximation adds to high school experience and business relationships. Okay. I don't understand any of these people. I don't even know what they're saying. That's the thing. Do you know what they're even talking about? The first two reviews?
Sounds like a bunch of people that just like boating and floating and drinking.
I guess.
That's a good day. That's a nice Sunday.
That's fine. If that's what they're saying, great. But they could make it more clear. 3 stars. I haven't had to deal with much issues of crime and the police. However, we did have several instances with our 17-year-old daughter that the police did nothing about.
What did she do?
I want to know more about that.
That sounds like your mistake.
No shit. We didn't keep an eye on our kids at all. The weird part is they're either overly detailed, telling us when karaoke night is, what night it's on, or completely vague of several instances that the police did nothing about. Like, someone help me here. 3 stars. Not always noticeable, but always on my mind.
What?
What the fuck does that mean? Is that a Willie Nelson lyric? What's happening? What are you people doing to me?
That feels like an investigator put that out there looking for the serial killer. I'll put the information on niche and you respond.
I'm getting angry right now. Yeah. Like, these reviews are making me physically angry. I don't like that.
That is somebody's utilizing that as Craigslist misconnections.
That's what I mean, but always on my mind, ... Not ... Not a full ellipses, not a period.
Yeah. You'll know by the bad pronunciation or the bad bad punctuation that it's me.
It's me. You'll know. Here's 2 stars. I have lived in Muscatine all my life, and it has only gotten worse as time passes. That's not good. There's nowhere to shop in this town, so if you want clothes, you'll have to go to Davenport or Iowa City, which are both an hour away. That sounds great.
You got Amazon.
The roads are not good and will do damage to your car if you don't avoid potholes. That's a lot of places in the Midwest. That's Michigan is, like we said, you might as well.
Oh, boy. Turn your car in.
Just turn it in, yeah.
Ride the bus, friend.
Get a monster truck to go over these things. The schools are okay. They're not anything special, but they're not the worst. Muscatine does not have a community does have a community college, which is nice, and there's lots of places to be employed at. But none of them sell clothes, apparently. So that's a problem.
You got buttons.
The next one is 1 star. And what is it? I'm going to hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. And then that's 10. So 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is 58 times written "Let's go" with an exclamation point.
What?
58 times. Let's go.
We wrote "Let's go" 58 times.
58. Let's go, space, exclamation point, no space, new let's go.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Somebody's in traffic. Let's go!
Let's go! And their phone they happen to be reviewing something earlier. There's also racial slurs in it and shit. What is this, you? Jesus. There's apparently an Asian woman he's not happy with, is what I'm gathering from
from all these let's go.
From the other stuff that's in there. I believe that's what that is. Population of this town, 23,579. A few more females than males. That's normal. Median age is a little bit low. It's 35.9. Nothing crazy. A couple more married people than normal here, kind of the way a small town in the Midwest usually is. Race of this town, 73.9% white, 3.4% black, 1.2% Asian, 19.4% Hispanic. So that's a lot for Iowa, I guess. Is it? No?
I'd have to assume.
Seems high for Iowa. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how that works. Religion in this town, 41.4% religious, so below the national average, and they're spread around. This is Iowa, so you're going to get some Catholics, a Lutheran, some Methodists here and there, Presbyterians. They're pretty easygoing there in Iowa. 0.0% Jewish though. No Jewish people there. We do have the last election in Muscatine County here. 45.3% of the people voted Democratic, 52.4% voted Republican, and 2.3% independent. So that's how that worked. Median household income here is $44,535, which is
not great, but
$10,000 below the national average. But the cost of living is lower, too. 100 is average. Here it's 75. So not bad. Housing is the lowest of all. Median home cost here, $163,800. Okay. And there is not a lot of expensive real estate here at all.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And if we've convinced you, damn it, that you need buttons and pearls and whatever else goes on here, Muscatine cups and karaoke on Wednesday nights at the Mississippi Bar, we have for you. Let's go. It's the Muscatine, Iowa Real Estate Report. Let's go. The average two-bedroom rental here goes for about $910 a month. So below the national average. Yeah. Here is, I don't know what this, it's completely gutted on the inside. It's a shell. Literally a shell.
Ready to start over,
Nothing. It's an older house, and it's weird. Here's the listing, quote, "This duplex has been gutted down to the studs and is ready for someone to come in and recreate." Yeah, that's what you'd have to do, is recreate.
The demo started,
The home is solid and could easily be a single-family home, ready to finish any way you desire.
That would be great.
That's great, unless you'd like to move in and live somewhere. Then it's not so great because there's nothing. There's not even a floor.
For a minute. But if it's a duplex and it's already open, you can just fucking do whatever you want.
$40,000 too. It's cheap.
Wow.
So you'll have the money to do other things with it.
Yeah.
Here's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,140 square foot house. So good sized family house.
Yeah.
It's really, it looks like shit on the outside. Yeah, the outside's just dumpy looking. Could use a paint job. Inside is very average. There's no light coming into this place. It feels a little like a dungeon, but it's not my favorite house, but it's a decent house, and for the price, it's not bad. $144,900 for that.
Fantastic.
So not bad. Now, here's the most expensive listing in town.
Okay.
5-bedroom, 3-bath, 2,063 square foot. It's a big rectangular ugly house. It almost looks like there's like a bad, maybe like a lodge restaurant on the bottom floor, and like hostel housing up top or something. That's what it looks like.
It's a 2-story too?
Yeah. It's a big rectangular 2-story. It's very ugly. $219,500 for that. So
that's a pretty good deal for a 5'3".
That's the most expensive house in town. So you're the high roller. Things to do here. Oh, here's some. The Muscatine Scarecrow Festival.
Yeah.
They really like farming here. Yeah.
They love it.
They have a petting zoo and crafts and all sorts of horse shit.
Is the idea of a Scarecrow Festival to make it the scariest you can, or the most traditional, do you think?
There's 3 categories, as a matter of fact. Is getting at the 3 categories in the favorite Scarecrow are traditional, whimsical, and awareness. I don't know what the fuck that is. This is my autism scarecrow. That's what I'm going to make for my...
Here's my whimsical one. It's got fairy wings.
That's got fairy wings. Traditional is, to scare actual crows away. And then awareness is like, this is my AIDS scarecrow that I made. What the hell is that? Be aware of it.
Names on it.
I didn't need much hay. It was easy. Sorry.
It's got 7 toothpicks.
Super easy. So,
very skinny.
Sorry.
Matches don't scare this one.
Nope. Can't scare me.
Not flammable at all.
Not flammable. Very little hay.
We call him kindling.
Yeah, it's very little. Poor guy.
Because, sometimes, not a lot of hay. No. Feel a lot better now for that one.
Good. I'm glad that you got that out. Entertainment here.
Yeah.
Lyle Beaver will be here.
Oh, boy. Who the fuck?
It sounds like a cartoon beaver that plays songs, doesn't it? That's what it sounds like.
Or a guy that just makes a lot of sexual innuendo jokes in his music.
Yeah, I'm Lyle Beaver, wink, wink.
You know what I mean.
And then finally, Gunny the Clown will be there, so you can't miss Gunny the Clown's fucking demand performance. I have no idea. A terrible person. He's a clown, so awful people. Here to scare children. Muscatine County Fair you need to go to as well, obviously, here. Take a walk through the 4-H livestock barns and project sheds. Yeah, watch some of the live judging and re-experience the fun you remember as a kid. Remember all that fun as a kid of watching...
You're forced to work on the farm.
Cows being judged. Remember how fun that was? Then there's also Demolition Derby. That's fun.
Hell yeah.
Midway Carnival rides and games, which you shouldn't get on because crackheads are operating them. Trailer races. What is that? I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I think you...
But, how do you do it? It's a trailer, so it's got no...
I think you push it.
No motor.
You push it, maybe.
I'm interested. I want to see it. I want to see who gets hurt in this.
The guy with 14 kids wins every time. He pushes it much faster.
How is it not safe?
Then there's also musical entertainment, which they don't tell you who, except for Rodney Atkins, will be there.
Oh!
Is that a guy you know?
He's great. Oh, well, he's so funny.
He'll be there. He's there, baby.
He's got a song about his penis. He's got songs about boobs. I like him.
He is squished right in between the ECIPA tractor pull and the Demolition Derby. And
that's a great day.
And the trailer. No, the different days, not on the same day. And then you got to come back for this. What do you think? You're going to show up for Rodney Atkins and then see a trailer race, Jimmy? Come on. Jesus Christ. You want it all, don't you?
You better come back for dear penis.
You want it all, man. Come on now. And then there's also the Buck Skinner's Rendezvous.
Oh.
Which I just thought was a wild name. Take a step back in time and get the pioneer spirit during this weekend event situated in the scenic Wildcat Den State Park. Mm-hmm. Apparently there's crafts and activities, and you catch a glimpse of what it was like back in the day before electricity.
Oh.
Sounds great. Sounds
not good.
Wonderful. Jesus Christ.
Remember when you were cold?
Or you can just wait for all those thunderstorms and tornadoes that will knock your electricity out anyway. Crime rate in this town, what we're interested in, obviously, here. The crime rate, property crime, slightly above average. So not quite perfectly safe, but not bad. And then violent crime, murder, rape, robbery, and, of course, assault, the Mount Rushmore of crime. We would expect that to be super low.
You would?
No, that's high also.
Is that right?
A good amount high, too, like 25%. Not great. Really high.
Stop bringing in singers that sing about the penis.
No shit. I think it's all what is it? The trailer races bring in a bad element. Couldn't remember what they were called. They also have Impact Pro Wrestling at the county fair, by the way, which is, I think, TNA, which I think they've gone all the way down to performing at the Iowa County Fair or the Muscatine County Fair. So
not good.
That said, let's talk about some murder, people. Let's do this. All right, Jimmy, let's get into this. Let's talk about a guy first. Let's talk about a gentleman, unfortunate gentleman. And by unfortunate, I mean mainly his scalp. He's a very unfortunate looking man. His name is Brian Kirby Barrett, R-T-T, Barrett. Brian Barrett, and he's born in 1951.
Okay.
And by 1979, he is bald as fucking Homer Simpson. I mean,
oh no,
he's 28 years old, and he's bald. He's got a beard. He's got glasses. He looks exactly like Will Ferrell's character on SNL when he was in the hot tub with Rachel Dratch, and they called each other lover over and over again.
Yeah.
He looks exactly like that guy. A mixed beat. No, not that guy, and the guy who plays the fucking piano with, and they sing. They sang new songs, but all the music teachers. Yeah, when he did the music teacher bit, he looks like that.
Should Google it.
He looks like Will Ferrell in a bald cap and a stupid beard. That's what he looks like. He looks like a character. It doesn't even look like a real person. You're like, this guy, he's got a disguise on or something, right? That's a disguise. No, that's a man. Holy shit!
That's your face.
Wow. His father, Ronald, is a senior vice president of Stanley Consultants, which is a worldwide engineering firm based in Muscatine. Okay. So he comes from a family that has decent money, upper middle class, and also education is very, very pushed in his family. Okay. As we'll talk about, his brothers and sister are also very smart. His brother's an engineer, and he's got a brother named Stanley who's an engineer. His sister is a nurse. So, he does all of that. Now, Brian was an Eagle Scout when he was a kid. Right. I mean, he is typical Midwestern. You took a kid from 1960. Yeah. This is the kid. I mean,
4-H and
4-H and Boy Scouts and Eagle Scouts and probably losing his hair already. I don't know. He's got problems. So, he does that. He's an Eagle Scout straight A student at Muscatine High School, an honor student at the University of Iowa as well. Okay. Brian is. He graduates with a degree in accounting. So to get a nice steady job, easy, not easy, but like a nice, you can get a job as an accountant, easy job getting, he graduated Muscatine High in 1969. 1977, he graduated the University of Iowa. So I don't know why it took him 8 years to get an accounting degree, but maybe he was doing other stuff. I'm not sure.
That doesn't add up.
No. And 69, and from what I know, he wasn't in Vietnam. Oh. So you graduate. Oh, maybe he fucking prolonged school, dragged it out to not be in the draft.
Oh,
so that's what a lot of people did back then.
Genius.
Like I read this book that Hunter Thompson. It's a book of all of his letters, and there's a lot of letters to his family, to his younger brother, who was at the University of Kentucky in 1969, and he was saying, "I don't give a shit if you want to go there or not. Right. Stay in school. Don't flunk out yet till the drafting stops. At least
get some C's, bud."
Just hang out there and hide out in there if you don't want to go be on the front lines, and because that's what you're going to do. So I don't know if that's what he was doing or what, but he got a job as an accountant for an Iowa City construction company. Did very well here. Now his father, like I said, is a very kind of important guy, senior vice president for a worldwide engineering firm.
Sure,
he does pretty well for himself. Here's a description, by the way, of Brian. This is a great description. Quote, he is a balding, slender man of medium height with wire-rimmed glasses and a full reddish-brown beard and mustache.
Oh,
this is what I'm trying to describe to you. Big red beard, bald. He looks like a nerd, but with a big red beard and glasses. It's very weird. It's a very weird look. And balding is generous, by the way.
Yeah.
Really? That's a really generous. Yeah, he's bald as the night is dark. I mean, he is fucking bald.
I mean, I can grow a little bit of hair, but it's
you're balding.
I can do it, but
you look at you and go balding. He's holy shit. You're bald.
You're bald
as a fucking eagle. Look at you. Start looking at it from different angles. Wow, from down here. There's a glare that's just wild from down. Look, it's reflecting off the wall. Holy shit! It's like
that word balding implies that it just started.
It's thinning. Yeah, he's a little thin on top. No. Right. Fucking it's horseshoe. Horseshoe. Total horseshoe. Done. Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you about the safest sponsor ever, Simply Safe. Absolutely, these people will keep you safe. It's amazing. You know that every 26 seconds a burglary takes place in the United States, according to the FBI. That means that by the time this podcast is over, dozens and dozens of homes will have been targeted, ransacked, God knows what happens here. So protect your home before it's too late with Simply Safe. proactive security system. Simply Safe helps stop threats before they even have a chance to break in. Named Best Home Security System by U.S. News and World Report 5 years in a row. And by us for about the last 8 years as well. If you trust us, believe me, you want Simply Safe. So visit simplysafe.com/small to claim 50% off a new system with professional monitoring plan and your first month free. That's simplysafe.com/small. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Now back to the show.
Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit about Sono Bello. You know, the most known secret with celebrities and influencers and all these famous people is so many of them have had lipo. They've had lipo, whether it's a little touch-up here or a total makeover. Yeah. Nobody has a perfect body. That's the thing. No. They may look like it on TV, but there's things that help that. Absolutely. Lipo now has changed, and Sono Bello's been at the forefront with using LAL technology and getting those beautiful and natural outcomes for each person. Looking real natural. Our friends at Sono Bello are offering their best deal. You're now included in their winter savings event, but appointments are limited, so please get on this. Sono Bello doctors are masters in micro-laser fat removal, a brilliant technique that removes stubborn fat permanently. Wherever your problem areas are, tummy, love handles, thighs, arms, it's gone in one comfortable visit. Eating healthy and workouts are great. Keep doing that, but if you want to lose that stubborn fat in one visit, check out Sono Bello. Save big during their winter savings event. Schedule your free consultation now at sonobello.com/smalltownmurder. That's sonobello.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
Done
it's finished. It's not ing anymore. It's over.
He gets married. Here, and maybe that's what he was doing too in the meantime of not graduating, because he gets married to a woman named Diana in 1975. They have a son named Branson in 1976 also. A lot of B names in this family. He's Brian, and then there's other ones too that we'll talk about. His brother's Bruce. And then his son is what is his son's name? I just lost it. But Branson, his son is like Missouri.
Bruce is a name that's gone away, huh? It's hard to look at a baby and see Bruce.
Bruce is a guy with a mustache. That's why it's hard to see a guy with like a Tom Selleck mustache when they're a day old. Yeah, and also Bruce became kind of synonymous with like being a gay name in the 70s too. Like people would. Not that it was, but people would. Right. Bruce is a gay guy for some reason. I don't know why.
Bruce Lee's one of the toughest people on the planet.
In the 70s, Bruce Springsteen was cool. Right. Bruce Lee, got all these cool Bruces, and you're like, he's a homo, that Bruce. Look at him, his mustache.
That's men just being fucking
weird,
feeling shitty. That those two Bruces are better than that.
One guy named Bruce one time, fucking
blew a dude, and now
everybody's Bruce. So, in 1976, he and his wife get divorced, though. So it's a short-lived marriage. A couple of years, one kid. Yeah. She's a lab technician, and she takes, I guess, possession of Branson, the son. She takes custody. I don't know why custody couldn't come out, and possession was what I could think of.
It's a good word, too.
So during the divorce proceedings and during the child custody proceedings, which he is very much fighting with her over custody issues.
Oh, boy.
He wants to see his son, and she wants him to only see him on this times, and they're fighting like crazy over that.
Jesus.
So, according to his divorce attorney encouraged him to keep a journal of his feelings.
Yep.
Not for any legal things, just for sanity's sake. For legal things too. If she does this, write it down. But also just write out your thoughts, and it might help you. In a week you'll think something different. You look back, you look at it. I don't know of many lawyers that also handle psychology, but apparently he found a full service guy.
My lawyer never really told me about journaling.
Never told you about your mental state, Jimmy. How you feeling?
Have you tried journaling, sir?
Let's talk about it. I'll tell you what, I sit in a hot bathtub with a lavender bomb, and I just journal my little head off.
Try candles and bath bombs.
Just
try
some
that.
Riesling in a journal. That's all I do at night, boy. You should try it, Jimmy. I never heard of lawyers doing that, but
perhaps my lawyer understands that I'm pretty good. I got these well in hand, these emotions and feelings. I'm doing all right.
Maybe he knows you have another therapist.
Yeah.
So he does. He writes what you could call a journal or a diary or just a book of weird shit, more likely.
Manifesto?
Not really manifesto, but plans and fantasy plots and weird shit.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get into this. He left his notebook. He's writing. He keeps a notebook with him. That's his diary, notebook, journal, whatever the fuck. He's at the Golden Palace or the Burger Palace restaurant in Iowa City in 1977.
Two different places.
Very
Burger
much so.
Palace and the
Golden Palace.
Yeah.
Golden Burger Palace. He's at this restaurant in Iowa City, and he leaves the notebook behind. Okay?
Oh, no.
He was finishing up his accounting studies and going through a divorce and doing all this type of shit at the time. So a restaurant employee picked up the book and was like,
intimate thoughts.
What's this? And started flipping through it and found what the police would later deem, quote, details of a plan to terrorize, injure, and murder his wife and then cash in on her insurance policy.
Brian.
So now the restaurant employee called the police. And said, I found this book, and it seems like there's like murder plots in it and shit. Maybe you want to take a look at it. So the cops came, and at first, the Iowa City police just thought, because, cops are the type, if you tell them that there's 5 guys pointing a machine gun at me, they're like, it's probably a dog that barked at them. Like, they don't believe anything.
Chances?
They're very cynical about shit like that. And so they were like, yeah, whatever. And at first, they were just like, he's a college student. It's probably some kind of literature. It's probably some kind of fucking class project that he's got to write, and you're an idiot, and you think that it's that. You know what I mean? He's probably had to write like a fictional story, maybe a murder. Who knows? Yeah. Jesus, look through my fucking notes. Holy crap. It's disturbing. So they made copies of the notebook. The cops made copies of the notebook and then returned it to the restaurant and said, give it back to the guy if he wants it. But they made copies of it and kept them on file in the police station.
Well, that tells me they took it a little more seriously than they're saying they're taking it.
They were like, well, we'll just keep copies just in case. So
we'll document it.
Then Brian comes back to the restaurant and says, I left a notebook in here. And they go, yeah, sure, here's your notebook. So he takes it back, and he doesn't know that the cops have now taken it and copied it and all that.
They didn't tell him. By the way, we were freaked the fuck out by this shit.
He doesn't even know anybody read a line of it. He just thinks they picked it up off the table and threw it on the counter and said, there's a notebook on the table if anybody comes in looking for it. Like someone left their sunglasses behind or something. That's what he thinks. So he has no clue. So would you like to know some of the things that he wrote in his journal?
Yeah.
I think I want to. He called it, by the way, his Diary of a Madman at one point in there, which is a bad...
Long before. What was that? That was Ozzy, right? Yeah, it was Ozzy.
Ozzy, and then also Gravediggers. So.
Oh, yeah.
So you got that. And Diary of a Madman, he says, quote, the trick is to make the plan as simple as possible. Dig a grave, kill her, and plant her. Include no one and act as if nothing's wrong. This is quotes. Then he said in another one, these are just different snippets. Another time he said, quote, I feel a desperate need to have Diana. He calls her Dine, D-I-N-E. It's always his nickname for her, but it's Diana. And also a mad obsession to prevent her from becoming someone else's. I have honestly thought about killing her to ensure that and that Branson will remain with me. Dude. He wrote that on April 20th, 1977. He's not taking the spirit of 420 at all to heart. Like, where's your chill, bro? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, dude.
Grab a gummy, son.
You know what I'm saying? You give this guy 10 milligrams of an edible, his writings are going to be way different. Way different.
So much more fun. He's going to be writing Rodney Carrington lyrics.
It's going to be hilarious.
You said Adkins, not Carrington.
Yeah.
God damn it. Yeah. Adkins
did you confuse him?
Guy.
Oh, yeah. You've already gotten 5 fucking tweets.
I've already gotten
so many
tweets about how much better Rodney Carrington is than Adkins. I know.
I don't know who either of those people are, by the way.
Rodney Adkins is a terrible songwriter. Bad music.
The weird part is both of those people probably live in 30,000 square foot houses, and I've never heard of them once. Never. There's a whole culture going on that I have no clue about. It's a whole economy, culture, world that I'm just like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Boot scoot your ass that way because I don't know what you're fucking saying. Leave me alone.
Rodney Adkins plays county fairs. Rodney Carrington plays theaters. That's the difference between them.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Rodney Carrington's hilarious.
That tells you a lot then. There's a big difference there.
Yeah.
So he wrote that. Now, he took out, by the way, on April 14th, 6 days before he wrote that last little one about wanting to kill her to ensure that the son would stay with him. 6 days before that, he took out a $10,000 life insurance policy on Diana without her knowledge.
Oh, no.
Anytime someone takes a life insurance policy out without someone's knowledge, I think it's suspicious.
That's very suspicious.
To me, I'm like, what the fuck is that? You wouldn't want to. Why would you not tell someone that they have insurance on their life? That's crazy. There's only bad.
If you're playing a death pool and you're not doing it that way, you're a chicken shit. That's not gambling. Gamble like this.
Unless it's like a birthday surprise, like I bought you life insurance, unless it's something like that, like a Christmas gift or something, you should really probably tell the person. And even then, you're going to tell them eventually.
Can we take out a life insurance on Bob Barker? Can we do that?
Why not? We can do it on anybody, I feel like. Well, I guess you have to be married to them. They were still married, technically.
Do you?
So I don't know. I have no fucking idea.
I'm not married to my kids. I got one on them. Do you have to be related?
Well, kids are different because you can do anything with your kids. You can take them.
Can you?
You can take them all sorts of weird places, and it's allowed. But
we should be doing that. Take out life insurance policies on people that are about to die.
Yeah, that's what I mean. This kid's 7. What the hell do they need a life insurance policy for? So now this journal, wow. He also there's a lot of them. Outlines on how to build and use what he called an acid telescope.
What is that?
Dude, this is so weird. An acid telescope, that was a telescope where he'd have acid on the lens. So when he'd go, hey, look at this amazing thing. And then his wife would come to look at the telescope. And instead of having like a shoe polish around her eye, like one of those little tricky things, this would be acid that would blind her instead. That would shoot out into her eye.
How much ass? Oh, he's got like
I think
a
he's got
nozzle
a pump
on
set.
it.
I think he's got a pump mechanism set up where he just presses a little thing and
like a clown flower.
yeah, like a clown flower. Or, anything like that. Just
Jesus,
like fake blood in a bad horror movie. However you want to do it. So a later entry, by the way, would be on killing her and burying her body again. Another one from including the one. There's another very specific one at the end here, and also not only that. He has set up in his book what he has deemed a, quote, revenge list of 21 people who he described as family or friends of his and Diana's. These are people that he blamed for encouraging or assisting the divorce, or people who have abandoned him or rejected him in some way. Just your typical lone maniac sitting alone at night making a revenge list of people who have wronged him. You know, that list that everyone makes.
Thought throw that on the Xerox and let's get back to whatever we were doing.
They thought, it could be that we don't know what this is, but let's go ahead and make a copy, pass it around the office because that'll be hilarious. Something to talk about at the Christmas party.
Put it on the bulletin board.
And then give it on back to the Burger
for
Palace.
Something we're going to have to do later by arrest this man. You can't just have that. Who has that?
It's insane. I don't have a fucking plan of murder and revenge in a journal. That's Ted Kaczynski had that.
I super don't like some people.
The Unabomber had that. Yeah. We keep this show for that, actually. Never mind. That's why we have this show. So in the journal, too, like you can tell that mentally he's having a hard time. As anybody who's going through a divorce and with custody of kids, it's hard. Yeah. So he's having a hard time where some days he's not mad at his wife and he just loves her and he wants her back. And then some days he hates her and he's talking about killing her. So it depends on what the interactions were that day, how he's feeling.
But how do you go from one extreme to the other? Because, you know what I mean? I certainly understand the love and want to get back together, but I certainly understand dislike enough to not want to ever work on this with them together again.
Yeah.
How do you have a middle ground in there? How do you have those two extremes? I don't understand that.
His middle ground is very small, too, because I'll tell you this. On page 2 of the journal, he said, all I can think about is Dine and Branson and how much, and then he went on to talk about how much he loved them. Then 3 pages later on page 5, so only 2 pages between them, he said, quote, if it becomes absolutely imperative, I will destroy her rather than become a non-parent.
What the fuck, man?
So that's 2 pages. How much could have gone by in 2 pages? Because he's writing in this pretty frequently. So I don't know.
A wild swing.
He's going huge swings. I think it's just day to day. May of 1977 here. We'll talk about some of the journal entries from May of 77. That was April. He said that he feared becoming a complete loner because at this point he didn't really have anybody around. He was going to school. He had his wife and kid, and that's kind of it. He didn't really have like a big social circle or anything like that. So now that they're gone and he was just kind of going to school and studying, he really doesn't have. He's feeling lonely.
Yeah, but
like
I got to tell
everybody
you,
has.
It's great.
It's great. He
great.
He wasn't with his wife long enough for it to be great.
Okay,
that's the thing.
That's a good point. Yeah.
If you got divorced when your son was 1, you would have felt much differently than when you got divorced and ran out of the house with your arms extended above your head, going freedom.
Never again.
He did the Mel Gibson in Braveheart when he rushed the fucking line of English. I think that was Jimmy going out of his house.
Goodbye. I'm running.
So,
but it's now more evident why his lawyer told him to do this, because his lawyer, if you have a conversation with that guy, a guy that swings like this randomly and this wildly, you got to tell him, dude, write this shit down. Don't bring it to me.
What I was going to say, what that's saying is, don't tell me.
Yeah, tell a composition book.
Tell a composition book, and then keep that hidden away somewhere, and don't leave it in a burger restaurant. Please.
Yeah. Don't ever let anybody read that.
That'd be terrific.
That motherfucker.
He also feared becoming a daydreaming, withdrawn ghost. He said. He talks about suicide a little in his book. Maybe I'll just kill myself. That'd be easier. This is a fucking mess. I hate this. He also picks up more violent plots against his wife. Maybe I'll kill her this way. Maybe I'll kill her this way. Then he says, well, why kill her? She's seeing this man. Why don't I just kill him? That'd be easier. So he talks about that. And he said that he was friends with him, this guy that he knew. That's who his wife is dating. Dating one of his friends. So he thought his friend's been disloyal to him, and he's mad at his wife. So the whole thing's making him crazy. But some of them are very silly. Some of the things are like silly, and then some of them are serious. Like, I could kill her like this, and then like a murder plot that could work. You know what I mean? And some of them are very just, obviously just blowing off steam. So in May, though, here is one of his plots that he has. This is quite the long one here. He says, this is to kill Diana. Quote, I may be insane, but I'm determined, he wrote at the top of it, by the way, which is insane and determined are 2 things you don't want together in a human being.
Right.
That's when you
together, that's dangerous.
That's how Hitler happened. Right, insane and determined. You don't want that. You want insane people to also kind of be lazy, hopefully. The
most lazy.
Very lazy. I'd love to kill everybody, but fuck, I'm exhausted and there's something good on TV. That's what you want out of super insane. Determined, not good. So he wrote that. This is the acid telescope, by the way, thing. He talked about he wanted to blind and disfigure her in this one with the acid telescope. Then he was going to frame someone else for the crime. There, and he was hoping that his wife's blindness would then assure him custody of the son, because how's she going to take care of him with her eyes burned out by acid? She can't
see. Even when the water's boiling.
She can't see nothing. So that's what
mac and cheese.
Yeah. And he said, and long shot, but possible, she might be so distraught over being blind and not having her son that she'll just come back to me.
She is going to need somebody. That's a man that's willing to take care of somebody disibled that he made disabled just to keep
on purpose.
That's bad. That's not good at all.
Think about the mindset of I will blind her and then get her to come back to me that way. Like, I'll hurt her and then she'll need me.
So dependent.
Wow, that is fucking wild. He said, quote, I'll get away with that part. I'll move on to Marshall and the others. That's the man she was seeing.
Oh,
So
boy.
then he's going to go down the list of his 21 revenge plots, starting with her, then going down a list. And when the cops are sitting around going, wow, 21 people have had weird, really like comic book level fucking Inspector Gadget kind of plots done to them.
Yeah.
And, like in town, all of them know this one guy. Super strange, right? They didn't think
He's
that would be a
fine.
thing. He's fine.
And he's the benefit to all of these bad things. What
Yeah.
if, by chance, Marshall's the sweetest man on earth and he's like, I'll take care of a blind woman. Then
I'll
what are
take
you going to do?
Blind woman and her fucking her urchin child with a blind mother. Doesn't matter. So he said, in fact, it may prove so challenging that it could be habit forming. Maybe I could even make a living at it. I think mostly it's just fun making the plans. That's what he wrote, quote unquote. So he's like, I consider,
yeah.
He goes, I could get away with that. That'd be awesome. It'd be super easy. He likes the planning aspect of
Yeah.
it. Why doesn't he just become like a party planner or something? I figure that'd be easier.
Any
Table
event.
settings, centerpieces, hors d'oeuvres, things like that. Get a nice charcuterie platter together. That takes planning. You know what I mean? Do that. Yeah, nice fruit tray. I don't know, something like that. Instead, he thinks it's fun to make murder plots.
And what if this becomes addicting?
Yeah.
Shit, I'll make money at it. I'll
I
do
can
that.
make a little money. He goes, mostly it's just fun making plans. It's just fun fantasizing about blinding my wife. That's hilarious. So, 1977, July here. Now he's like, shit started to get a little bit serious now. He's gone from all this, this is fun and games, to, he said, quote, I've had a change of heart in the past week or so.
Oh?
I don't like that. He said, in fact, I've changed to having no heart at all. I've decided to kill Dine, that's the nickname, within the first week of August, he says. Okay. Here it is. Quote. This is awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sure now that Dine has to go. It will either be the first or second week in August. So this journal will not be around much longer. He knows he's going to have to destroy the whole plot, the whole plotting. He doesn't know that obviously there's copies of it at the Iowa City Police Force and some fucking. He said, I'll let her think I'm going to set her free, talk nice to her for a few minutes to build up her hopes, then slap her around and scare her again, then bury her. All capital letters, no body, no crime. No body, no crime.
It came back.
Whoa, hey. Said, I remember when I blinded my wife. I used a telescope and acid. Dun, 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 dun.
Unbelievable.
Nobody, no crime.
It keeps happening.
He said it in capital fucking letters.
Awesome.
At the bottom, no body, no crime.
Wow.
Hell yeah. I remember when I killed my wife. That's what he said, man. He wanted to.
I love it so much.
He wanted to take her out, tie her up, get her, make her take all her clothes off, terrorize her, slap her around, then tell her he's going to let her go, get her hopes up, and then kill her and bury her.
Wow.
And no body, no crime. So
In
that's
Trenchtown.
in Trenchtown. Gonna bury my wife in Trenchtown.
Unfucking real, man.
This is fucking wild, dude. So July 25th, 1977 is when his journal got taken by the police.
Yeah.
So this is all after all his plots. Now, at that point, they waited a couple of weeks. Then they brought him in and actually questioned him. They kept an eye on him, see what he was doing. They're like, well, he just seems to be a college student. He's not doing anything. So let's talk to him and say what we did. And that's when they asked him about that. And he was like, I'm just writing stuff. My lawyer told me to write stuff. There's fantasy stuff from school projects. And they said there's nothing that they could file charges. His wife isn't hurt. So...
Right. Nobody's hurt. Take a look in the back. There's a whole kill list. Are any of those people alive?
They're all alive. Now, if I blinded any of them,
I
no.
didn't have a telescope.
Duh. Other strange things in his journal here.
Yeah.
This is a different journal that he'll have later on. The more strange stuff here. There's a kidnapping plot to this is okay. He wanted to, according to his journal, kidnap a Des Moines Register. That's the newspaper. A Des Moines Register paperboy.
The paper boy. Okay.
A child. It gets way bad. He wanted to kidnap a paper boy, sexually abuse him, murder him, then frame someone else for the crime and collect the reward money.
What?
I could set up this whole thing where there's reward money. I'll turn someone else in, and then I'll collect the reward money, and I guess have the satisfaction of
what is that?
Murdering and sexually abusing a boy. I don't know what he's into here, but
that's not good for being a dad. That's going to get your kid taken away from you.
I wouldn't want to give this guy custody of a hamster at this point. It'll be up his ass in 15 minutes. I wouldn't know what he's going to do with it now,
or a paperboy's ass,
or someone. Yeah. So he wrote about the plot in a red notebook. Like we said, he wrote about that. That was very weird. This was also, though, a little bit after there was disappearances of 2 paper boys. So he was thinking like, maybe I'll just do that. That's a good idea. So he's not even original with his fucking murder plots.
No, he heard about boys disappearing, and he's like,
I could do that. Yeah, that's what you want to do for some reason. So 1978, late 1978 here comes, and his divorce is final. He's making all these weird murder journals and all this type of shit. And then it gets weird. Now it gets weird. Yeah, as if that wasn't weird enough.
Yeah.
So 1978-79, he gets a job as an accountant at the Holiday Inn. So he's the Holiday Inn.
For
the hotel. There, he meets a couple of young ladies, okay? One, now keep in mind he's 28 at this point, 27, 28. He meets Carol Ann Willits. Carol Ann?
Go to the lot,
Carol Ann. That's all I'm going to think the whole time. Oh, God.
Yeah.
It's not Carol Ann, one word. It's Carol Ann Willits.
It's now one word.
One word. Willits. Carol Ann Willits. She's 21, Carol Ann. She comes from a big family, by the way. She's got her parents are Colleen and Marion, her mom and her dad, and her mom and her dad. She is one of 10 kids.
My God.
Which is a lot of kids to be having. They're not Mormon or anything. They're just 10 kids.
Yeah, just doing it.
Farming, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
So she moved to Muscatine in 1978. So she's kind of new to the area here. She meets Brian in 78. They both worked as auditors at the Muscatine Holiday Inn.
Oh.
And, now Carol, a little bit about her. She's apparently very funny. She was voted class clown in 1975 at her high school. So,
okay.
And she's big into church activities at the Mulford Evangelical Free Church. She likes to go to church singles events and stuff like that.
Oh.
Yeah, trying to meet a nice church-going guy, that sort of shit. So that's what she's doing. She works the Holiday Inn for a while. Then she leaves, and she works at the First National Bank of Muscatine. Okay.
She's done auditing. Now she wants to do that.
Yeah, she's got a better job, better than the Holiday Inn. But it looks better on the resume to work at a bank rather than the Holiday Inn. So
I imagine the numbers stop at some point at the Holiday Inn. At the bank, the numbers never stop.
They never stop. Yeah, they never stop coming. Everybody said she was pretty religious also. She said that she dated, once a week, a few times a month, that sort of thing. Okay. People from the singles groups and that sort of shit here. She had gotten a promotion at the bank. She just started there, and they gave her a promotion pretty quick. And, so she gets a promotion. She's very excited about that. The vice president of the bank here, of the First National Bank of Muscatine, said she's supposed to be a teller at the bank. She got a promotion to a teller. I guess that's a promotion. She was very excited, and her boss said that she's enthusiastic to go to the position. She had been making $2.90 an hour. She's going to get a raise and everything else. So she also seems to have a bit of a fling with Brian.
Okay.
Bit of a fling, it seems to be, from what we can gather here. Now, here's another young lady enter the picture, Cynthia K. Walker, Cindy Walker. She's 19, so another young lady. She is from Maryland, but she's been here for 14 years, so since she was 5.
Yeah, right.
Been here forever. She worked the Holiday Inn on the night shift. Everybody said she's kind of outgoing and daring and wanting to do fun shit. And if you said we're going to go bungee jumping, she'd be like, "Sounds great." Like she's that kind of person. Yeah, she's fun. She lives with her parents. She wanted to be a stewardess at the time. That was a flight attendant. That's what she was trying to do. Which back then people would still aspire to that job, not be like, "Fuck, God damn it, I got to fly in this shit box." So, she left home in 1977 when she graduated from high school. She got an apartment with a friend of hers, another girl, and then for a little while, then later moved in with a boy named David Titus, and she lived there for a while until she ended up moving home again in December of 78. So after she moved home, everybody said that Cindy and this Titus guy, David Titus, were still planning on getting married in May of 1979. So they said she's engaged, but they were living together and she moved out, but they're still engaged.
One day we'll get married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Cindy's mom will say that the reason Cindy moved out, well, at least the reason Cindy told her mom, was that a couple of David's family members had also moved in and it was overcrowded. So she just wanted to get out of there. But in actuality, they had some problems, and we'll tell you what those problems were about. She didn't tell her mom stuff, is what it is, Cindy. She told her mom what she wanted her mom to do. Like most 19-year-olds do.
Right.
They're not tell you.
That's certainly an acceptable reason to be out of there.
Yeah.
There's too many people. I can't put up with that.
Yeah, and it makes it sound like that David's still a good guy. He's not. That won't make the family hate him.
He's a sweetheart. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's going out of his way to take care of his fam.
Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit more about our stylish friends at Quince. That's right. Let's go elevate your styles, people. Yeah. Get it going. Look good out there. And you can do it now without breaking your wallet, without breaking the bank, because at Quince, you can get high-end, versatile pieces at prices we can all actually afford, which is very nice. You want to get good stuff that lasts and it's good, and they have quality stuff that's very affordable. And you can do like we did, upgrading our stuff here, while still being a very reasonable price. Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, responsible manufacturing practices, along with premium fabrics and finishes. It's all quality stuff. You're going to love it. Trust us, it looks good. And I've got the leather jacket. It's a very high-quality item. Real nice, soft leather. Yeah. Jimmy's got his linen pants he's rocking.
Yeah. They're terrific.
Come on, be like us. Be fashionable. Get in there with Quince. Indulge in affordable luxury. Go to quince.com/smalltownmurder for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/smalltownmurder to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit about a very cool place, Thrive Market. Yes, we are both looking to get into the healthy swing this year. The problem is I don't know what's in everything, and I don't know if even I'm qualified to even read the labels to know if that's good or that's bad. Right. There's chemicals in things, and there's things floating around. I don't know what I'm doing out there. One of my favorite features, and I know you were talking to me about this, is the Healthy Swap Scanner in the Thrive Market app. Yeah, it's simple. You scan any item, and it'll instantly suggest a cleaner, healthier grocery alternative, it's great. Amazing. Yeah. That's great. Thrive Market also takes the guesswork out of finding these safe, healthy foods. For example, like I'm trying to get my protein intake up for energy. I'm always moving around. I need stuff, and I love that you can filter their site by the high protein options. Nice. It's very cool, and you can personalize this portion, and you can put filters on it. And get ready. You should be ready for a junk-free start to 2025. Get ready for it and head to thrivemarket.com/smalltownmurder and get 30% off your first order plus a free $60 gift. That's THRIVE market.com/smalltownmurder, thrivemarket.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
Cindy wanted to attend a business college in Des Moines. That was her goal. And she told her parents she wanted to be a stewardess because she lost 60 pounds in 2 years.
Oh.
So she felt really good about herself physically. And back then, that was still the time of like flight attendants had to be kind of good looking. That's the way it was.
She's very young yet.
Yeah.
And if you lose a bunch of weight and get hot as shit.
She's like, I can get a job that my looks count now.
Absolutely. Cool. I can travel and do fun shit.
She just felt confident
doing it. Yeah.
She felt confident there. So, her mother said she had big ideas, but she just didn't have the money to back them. She wanted to get away. She wanted to see the world. She wants to get out of Muscatine, essentially, is what I'm hearing here.
Out of Iowa.
Now, Cindy worked the graveyard shift at the hotel, and Carol Ann, she worked the 3 to 11 shift. second shift.
Okay.
So their shifts backed up into each other, but they didn't work together. But they knew each other, as we'll find out.
Into each other, high-fived on their way out the door.
Yeah, peace, see you later.
Yeah.
So they're very similar. They're described similarly in a lot of ways because they're just both young ladies who are trying to do stuff. They're described as not ready to settle down, but then the one's engaged and was living with a guy. So I don't know what the hell they're talking about there. Her family, I don't think, seems like her family didn't know her as well as they thought they know her at the time because
pretty
she's
common for
19.
That age.
Right. 19. You don't tell your parents shit.
Right.
No.
Anything about me?
So Brian met both of these ladies while working weekends as the night auditor at the Holiday Inn. He met Willits there, Carol Ann, when she started working there in April of 78. She worked the night shift just prior to his, and they would talk for a while into his shift. So he'd arrive in the morning, she'd be finishing up, they'd sit and bullshit. Yeah. Then he met Walker in November of 1978, shortly before he quits the Holiday Inn. He helped train Walker, Cindy, who ended up taking over his job as the auditor. So that's how that worked. So he knows them both from work.
Yep.
He said, and some evidence backs up the fact that he had some sexual relationship with at least one of, if not both of these women.
Wow.
Okay. I don't know how. I don't know how a Will Ferrell in a bald cap pulls that off. He's not cool. He's not like, there's nothing about him that would be like, ooh, yeah, to like a fucking young lady, other than if he's, I don't know, they felt bad for him.
Interesting. I don't.
Maybe they felt bad. Maybe they like lost puppies. I have no idea. But he said, even what he says is Walker they had sex a lot, and then he started seeing Carol Ann Willits as well, and only had sex with her a couple of times. Okay. But she apparently, from what he says, was very much into this relationship and was kind of Willits was, yeah. So that becomes something. Now, Cindy Walker, Cindy's mother says, quote, Cindy didn't have any romantic involvement with Brian. But we kind of know that's not true based on some factors that happen here, and we'll get into that. Her mother said, though, she was engaged to another man she was going to marry the following May 5th. But in the same conversation, Cindy Walker's mother says she did plan a trip to go with Brian in a car to California.
Who plans that?
So
if you're,
I'm sorry, but you don't drive cross country with someone as friends when you're engaged. You know, some guy that you may have. It's
to a beach destination.
Yes,
like that's very romantic.
Yeah, absolutely. But for this trip, by the way, her parents were not thrilled that she was doing this.
Right.
For this trip, Brian decides to take out a $50,000 double indemnity life insurance policy on Cindy Walker, telling her that he was going to take her to California and he thinks the policy is a good idea if you're going to go on a cross-country trip to some other state. Just in case, which is very – maybe if you were taking your fucking horse and carriage, your buggy across in the – 1840s, but not really now.
Road trip with a friend and been like, we should get life insurance on you.
Bro, I'm going to insure you just in case. You never know, man. It's the 70s. It's not like it's so weird. So her mother, Cindy's mother, said, we got very upset about the situation. But of course, for a 19-year-old girl, this was right up her alley, the trip, not the insurance. She said, just because someone is riding in your car, you don't take out an insurance policy on them.
Right.
Which I've never, ever, ever thought to. Who's in the car? Everybody, am I the beneficiary of everybody's life insurance in here? Okay, let's pull out of the driveway then. Good.
Everybody insured up? We good?
We good?
Did you pee first?
Me? You got pee? Or double indemnity? Is it double? Okay, let's go. So he said it was a good idea, and I don't know if she believed him because he was older.
Yeah.
Maybe, and seemed like, no, I know the world. This is what you do.
He's got a kid, for Christ's sake.
Kids, and, I have health insurance and things like that. So February 16th, 1979 comes around. He's not working at the Holiday Inn anymore. Okay. So that night, Cindy Walker's mother said that Cindy did not spend the night at home. She told her parents she was going to Cedar Rapids with Brian Barrett to visit his friends.
Oh.
She left with a nightshirt that she slept in to sleep in, but she didn't return with the nightshirt. She said she left it in Brian's car.
Okay.
So there's that. Her mother said, "Did you have a good time?" And Cindy replied, "No, it was one of the most boring times I'd ever had."
Okay.
So there was that. That was all that she said to her mother, though. And then her mother tried to ask follow-up questions, and she just kind of shut it down, and that was that.
Okay.
So that's what she told her mom happened that night. Now, that night, Brian has a different story. He says that night he and Cindy were getting it on, and Carol came to his house and caught them.
Oh.
And he just started having sex with Carol in the last couple weeks, and Carol Ann Willits came and caught him in bed with Cindy Walker.
She popped by with no warning.
Yep. Did the old pop by and said, "Oh my God, look at that." So that's what Brian said happened that night. And Cindy, though, did not tell her mom that. She just said, "No, it was the most boring night ever," and then wouldn't answer follow-up questions. So
but she also didn't explain why she moved out of that apartment.
Exactly. She doesn't tell her mom shit. She's going to tell her mom. I don't know. Unless you have a relationship where you discuss intimate details with your mom, you're not going to tell her, like, "I was fucking this guy and this other chick walked in and then there was a big argument," because apparently, according to Brian, there was a giant argument between Carol and Cindy. Carol was very mad and was calling Cindy names, and they were going back and forth, and he was, they were all both yelling at him. It was
Cindy's mom may be a church-going lady who that kind of story might not.
Who knows?
May not jazz her up.
No. They had, that's what I mean. Who the fuck knows? They had a threesome, but not the kind you want. They had an argument threesome, is what he said. So, February 22nd, 1979, 6 days later.
Yeah.
Let's go through the girls' days here, the ladies' days here. Carol Willits, here's her day. Carol Ann here. Pretty ordinary day. She lived in a downtown apartment, 309 East 3rd Street. And a friend of hers named Maureen Keller, who worked with her at the bank, said that, she came into work, went to work. After work, Carol went to a grocery store to buy ingredients for a spaghetti dinner that she planned for former coworkers of hers.
Oh.
So she used to work at a place called Nielsen's Clearinghouse in Muscatine, and she invited 4 ladies who she used to work with from there to...
Come on by, I'll make spaghetti.
Yeah, we got to catch up, you know what I mean? Where you lose touch with people that way. Mm-hmm. So they all the women said she was in a good mood. She showed them family Christmas pictures and spoke that she couldn't wait to go to a trip to Ireland that she was planning with her friends for some time. They were putting it together. They said she was, real cheerful and everything like that. But she does receive a phone call from Brian Barrett that night that they all don't dispute. Okay.
While the girls are there and we're all having spaghetti.
Well, everybody's hanging out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Cindy Walker was her mom said she was in the greatest mood that night that I've seen her in a long time. That's because she just got a promotion. So she got a promotion that day. And she was supposed to start her new job Monday in the bank. So she was very excited. She, like we said, moved back to her house in December to her parents' house where she would, just kind of hang out and didn't do a lot. She would crochet and do macrame and shit. Like she's bored at her parents' house. She went to Pam's house, her friend Pam's house, for dinner that night. Then they went out driving around and visiting friends. And she came home by 9:30.
Oh, early night.
Came home her mom said that we sat and visited for a while.
Yeah.
She came home, they talked. Her dad said she was giving us a bad time about supper, saying for the first time that week she hadn't cooked supper and they were eating leftovers. And she's like, "I don't cook dinner one fucking night and you guys don't make anything."
We gotta eat the shit I made last night.
I come home for 2-day-old
share.
2-day-old shake and bake chicken. I don't want this.
I made this. I don't want it.
Yeah. So her best friend for 6 years, so high school throughout here, Pamela Skidmore, said that they were, hung around as friends all the time. She said that she didn't know anything about Carol Willits and never heard Cindy mention Carol's name. Cindy ate dinner that night. That's where she ate dinner that night at her friend Pam's house. And she heard... That night, her friend Pam from her house heard Cindy make 2 phone calls, one to Annette Connor, friend of hers, and one to Brian Barrett. Yeah, so he's talked to both. Later on, Pam and Cindy went to visit some friends before Pam and her husband took Cindy home about 9:30. And she said that she wanted to be home by 10, Cindy did. Why did she want to be home by 10?
What was on?
Brian was supposed to call her back at 10.
Oh, shit.
Yes.
Okay.
So when you're out with friends, and nowadays, obviously, this isn't a concern because if you don't have to rush home for a phone call. But if you think of pre-cell phone times. If you were out with friends and you had to get home before a certain time because someone was going to call you, how into that person are you?
You're changing your whole life around to be somewhere specific to
be home,
hear their voice, not even be involved with them. Just
think about that shit. That's interesting there.
Yeah.
So Cindy received the phone call right at 10 o'clock. He's an accountant. He's very punctual.
Yeah, he's very studious.
His mom, her mom was nearby, Mrs. Walker here. She only overheard short responses from Cindy, which, again,
indicates anger.
Well, not anger. Also, it indicates I'm not talking in front of my mother.
Oh, yeah. I don't want her hearing this. Sure.
As a teenager, you know how to have conversations about dubious and illegal shit with your friends on the phone with your parents standing right next to you.
Right there. Yeah.
You know absolutely how to do that. And so does she, I think. Anybody does. It's just a thing you do. So it's not a bad thing. It's just you have to do that to keep your privacy as a kid. So after she got off the phone, she told her mother that the caller that called right then, because she had talked to Brian also, was a girl named Carol who was going to come down and pick her up.
Okay.
So Carol's going to come pick her up. She said they were going to stay overnight at Carol's apartment, then leave from her apartment the next day to go to Iowa City to see a mutual friend's new baby. That's what she told her mother. So either that's what the phone call was, or she is a really quick fucking liar and can make up awesome stories on the spot.
That's fast.
Or she's a great teenager, you know what I mean? Just terrific at it. Just so good at it. I was not that good of a teenager, you know? Now, Cindy said, this is what her mother said later, Cindy said the girl's name was Carol Ricketts or Willards. Mix those together and you get Willits. It was a name I was not familiar with.
Okay.
So this is a new thing that they're together. Then sometime after 11:30 p.m., Cindy left and left the house to go with Carol. Like she said, she's going to come pick her up. Yeah. And another family member said that she went to the basement to take a shower and she was like looking out the window, waiting for the car. And she seemed very anxious to do this. They also said when she left, though, her family said she did not take her nightshirt with her that she usually takes when she goes to do things overnight. Right. So she didn't take that. So that was different. And also that Cindy's purse was found. She left her purse at the house. Huh. She left her purse with her ID at the house.
You don't ever do that.
Usually you take your purse if you're a woman. Yeah. The ID, the wallet, back then was, if you weren't going to buy anything, it was a lot less important because you didn't have debit cards for the most part or anything like that. Right. You had cash and you threw a few bucks in your pocket and you went. So it's not that strange, though. Sometimes she does leave her shit home, she said, too. She'll forget sometimes.
Really?
Yeah. Now, David Titus, the guy she lived with, let's find out what really happened there. He said that he didn't know Brian Barrett. He never met him. But he did know that there was another person that Walker saw occasionally, Cindy. Mm-hmm. Another man she would see. He said, David, that he was working the night shift from 10 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. on February 22nd. So he didn't see her. He was at work. He said the reason she moved out of his apartment was, quote, she said she had a lot of thinking to do.
Uh-huh.
Which is not what she told her mother. This is what I mean. She told her mother she tells her mother the convenient thing that makes her mother feel good, which is what you do as a young
Smooths
person.
Things over, keeps everybody from being angry at anybody, and also justifies not being there.
Well, I'm going to live my life, so I'm not going to argue with you about it. I'll just make up something that makes you happy, and then we're fine, because who cares? It's not your business anyway. So he actually said that the thinking was about him, meaning Titus, him, Brian Barrett, and other things.
Weighing whether or not she wants to be with him.
As of December, she was confused, saying she didn't know whether she wanted to be with this guy, marry him, live with him, be with Brian Barrett. She was a little confused, and they asked him because she had feelings for him and Brian, and he said, yes, that's what she told me. So there's something going on with Cindy and Brian, obviously.
Yeah, but that's a very mature thought for a 19-year-old to have.
Yes, super mature.
And very aware of how immature she is while being mature enough to face that. That's wild.
She's they're smart young ladies, both of these young ladies here. And Brian is also a smart guy, but a weird guy. So it's a lot of smart people here. So February 23rd, this is the next morning, mind you, 22nd. Yeah. Remember, Cindy said she was leaving, going with Carol to spend the night and then leave the next morning to go somewhere in Carol's car, and left at 11:30. Now, the next morning, 6:30 a.m., February 23rd, Cindy is found in the middle of Brent Road, which is a gravel road 3 miles south of Muscatine.
Okay.
She is dead. She's fully clothed and been shot 3 times, twice in the head and once in the abdomen.
Okay.
She's been shot. She's dead. Been left there, just dumped, clearly. Okay. So, yeah, that's once in the back of the head, once in the side of the head, and once in the stomach. So
she went with somebody named Carol.
Yes.
Not Pamela. Yeah.
No. Yeah, Pamela's her friend that she was hanging out with that her husband dropped her off.
Right, yep.
Carol is, she was going with Carol. Ricketts or Willards, which is, somebody driving to work noticed the body, and you can't even avoid that. It's in the middle of the road. She was in the middle
of a gravel road.
Of a gravel road. You can't avoid that. Fully dressed, wearing a ski jacket, so it wasn't like she was indoors and she was dressed to be outside in the in the cold. And she'd been, like I said, shot 3 times: head, abdomen, back of the neck. Evidence, they said, the autopsy said that she looks like she would have died very quickly from this. This wouldn't have been not a prolonged thing. Now, here's something small townish that happens only on this show.
Yeah.
The third cop to get there, the first investigator, because first there was 2 cops that were called, then they called in an investigator. The first investigator to show up is Cindy's first cousin.
Oh, no.
So that immediately put some oil in the in the vodka there. That's not good.
Not good at all.
No. Daryl Werner is his name. He's an investigator.
Detach himself from this scenario.
Yeah.
This is fucked.
With the Muscatine County Sheriff's Department. He's a cousin by marriage, first cousin by marriage. So he's still close, though. That's still very close. He said that he identified her immediately. He showed up and went, "That's my fucking cousin Cindy." Holy shit. Like he knew a second later. An hour later, an intersection a few miles away. And I'll give you the exact intersection in a minute, though. But an intersection a couple miles away, there's a car. It's a Ford Granada, a piece of shit Ford Granada.
Yeah.
Running with the lights on.
Uh-huh.
And a dead woman inside of it.
Oh, no.
In the driver's seat. And it's Carol Ann Willits.
Really?
She's at an intersection. She is shot once in the temple. Once in the temple, and a .38 caliber Llama pistol is on her lap.
Like suicide.
Like on her lap. And this pistol, by the way, is the weapon that killed Cindy. And it's traced back to Carol purchased this recently, this gun. She bought it.
What the fuck, Carol?
Now, this is where it gets really weird, as if it's not fucking weird enough already.
Yeah.
She was blindfolded.
Oh.
She had a blindfold on, looked like what appeared to be a ripped section of a fancy pillowcase. Oh. Maybe with pearl buttons. We don't know.
Hey, who knows?
So maybe that's what they're for, fancy pillowcases. And we'll talk about it. There's a note written in the car as well on the dashboard. Lights on, car running. They said that the right temple, very close range, like someone putting it against their head. She's blindfolded and wearing men's work gloves at the time, which is strange. Also, they find in the car cigarette butts. Carol didn't smoke at all. Cynthia smoked, though. They found cigarette butts, the same brand that Cindy smoked, in the ashtray of Carol's car as well. Also, in the car, they recover hairs from both women. Okay. Sand found on the bumper of Carol Ann's car was compared to and found similar to the sand found at the scene of where Cindy's body was discovered. Yeah. Sand in Carol Ann's shoes was similar to sand found in Cindy's shoes.
The road. Yeah.
So both of their shoes had the same sand in them as well.
Been in the same place. Yep.
They figured Walker died sometime between 10 p.m. and 1 a.m., and Willits died sometime between 10:30 and 1 a.m.
Okay.
So
Close
neither
by each other.
neither of them died at 10 because we know where they both were at 11:30. So
Right.
that's not possible. But that's what the medical examiner put in as his window,
Sure.
which is fine. So are there any witnesses to this? These are two separate public murder scenes here, or murder suicide, or whatever you want to call it here. Two separate dead person scenes. Any witnesses to anything? No, there was a farm dog across the street that began barking when the shot that killed Carol happened in the car. That's what the dog owner said. They heard a shot. The dog started barking. So the only witness they can find, they find two witnesses who said they may have seen two cars on the road where Cindy Walker was dumped, the gravel road, at about 12:30 a.m. and about 12:30 a.m. At 12 a.m. and 12:30, at midnight. One of the cars was a Ford Granada, which is the car Carol drove, which we know it was there from the sand. The other car, they didn't know, but they just said it had rectangular headlights. It was dark, not small headlights, or not rounded headlights.
Yeah.
Also in the car, a 3-page letter is found with Carol.
Oh.
It's what the court and later the cops call a Dear Jane letter. It's I don't want to be with you anymore letter. This is the 70s form of ghosting. You just write a letter and then it's over with. You don't have to deal with it. So you had to at least write a letter. This was as opposed to, telling someone face to face, which now is like, forget about it. That's a crazy thing to do.
You don't even ask them out face to face. You swipe on their face.
Yeah, fucking gone. I meant like with a relationship now. You don't even have to do it face to face. So this letter here was a letter that they asked Brian about, and he said he wrote it and sent it to Carol after she had discovered him in bed with Cindy Walker on February 16th. It was a letter saying that basically, look, you're a nice girl, but I don't want to be with you. I like Cindy, and sorry about that. Sorry I led you on the wrong way type of shit. But it's 3 pages long.
That's a lot of explanation.
They find another note in the car on the dashboard. This is attached to a spiral binding of a notepad. It's got those little pieces of paper. And this is a note in Carol's handwriting, by the way. Okay. Quote, Brian. Okay, so this is to Brian. I'm sorry I caused you so much trouble. You're a good friend, and I'm sorry I misunderstood your attention. The problem is that I love you, and I'm selfish. If I can't have you, I don't want anyone to have you. Maybe I should have killed your ex-wife instead of all the things I did try. You're a nice guy, and I hope you find peace. I found mine. Love and goodbye, Carol. P.S. I was always blind to so many things, so why not now? Now, that looks to be
an indication of why we've got a blindfold on.
Why we have a blindfold. That's what they said. Well, that might explain the blindfold. There's a blind reference in there. There's that. It's in her handwriting. And so if you just read this, you would think, okay, this girl, she might just be not wanting to talk to him anymore or saying, okay, I'll back off. But if she's dead in a car with a gun in her hand, this looks a lot like a suicide note.
Sure does, yeah.
Especially the goodbye and love and goodbye. But you'd also say that if you're saying, okay, cool, I get what I get you don't want to have anything to do with me. It's all right. You'd say the same shit. So I'm not sure. So they look into the whole thing. Carol had applied for a permit to carry a weapon at the Muscatine County Sheriff's Department on January 14th, 1979.
Just recently.
Which is a month before. Then 2 hours later, called the Sheriff's Department saying she had applied for the wrong permit and that she wanted a permit to purchase a weapon because she didn't have one yet.
Okay.
Now, Carol's so they're at first they're taking this as it looks like a murder-suicide. Looks like these are rival women for the same guy. One killed one, went and killed herself because she whatever. So it makes sense. But her friends, Carol's friends, say there's no way she would do that. Which most people's friends say that. You wouldn't be friends with someone who you would assume would fucking murder somebody. It's a romantic rival. That makes because that saying that that sounds like them. That's now you. That's bad judgment by you. So no one says that.
I don't think I've ever heard anybody say, "Yeah, I knew this was coming."
That's what I mean. That's why they always say their neighbor was quiet and never caused any trouble. You noticed shit. Yeah. You just the fact that you didn't notice shit means that you're a moron. So you're not going to say that. You're going to go, they were a master at keeping to themselves instead.
If we could see any of this happening, it never happened.
Yeah, her friend here said, quote, "I absolutely do not think she did it. There's no way she could have. They said she was afraid of guns and she didn't like guns. And she also said Carol valued life too much. She was a Christian above all else." Okay. Now, the blindfold, the cops, the one thing they say is that the one detective says they know of no cases where a suicide victim, whatever, so a person committing suicide had blindfolded themselves before pulling a trigger.
Yeah, it's a very weird thing to do.
They also indicate fibers believed to be cat hairs found on the blindfold.
Oh.
And no, Carol doesn't have a cat.
No cat.
Cindy doesn't have a cat. Cat hair, though, is one of those things that if you were around a cat 4 years ago, you still have cat hair in your house somewhere. You know what I mean? Yeah. It does not go away. It carries.
No, it doesn't.
It carries.
Everywhere.
It's like a virus. So they also said, though, but the blindfold, in the note, it says it sounds like it's explaining the blindfold. Yeah. So they're like, it's a weird thing, but she also talks about it. So, fuck. I mean, so she came up with something new. What are we going to falter for it? Like,
sometimes things happen for the first time.
That's what I mean. They everything that's ever happened had a first time at some point.
It did.
So,
yeah.
the Dear Jane letter that Brian wrote to her is a 3-page postmarked letter. So he mailed it. Yeah. From Brian to Carol. The letter informed her that he wasn't into her and all that kind of shit. However, there's no cancellation impressions on the letter, the pages of the letter.
What does that mean?
When they stamp the letter, like in the post office.
Oh, when they cancel the stamp?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah.
That'll make an impression on the inside paper as well if you're looking under a microscope, but they didn't see that there. Okay. They said that it was as if they were put in the envelope after it had been mailed.
Oh.
So also they found in the car a Valentine's Day card in an envelope addressed to Brian from Cynthia Walker that was torn up, and they found strands of Cynthia Walker's hair. So, she's got a Valentine's, so it seems like she's super pissed about Brian and Cindy.
Rageful, yeah.
More on the suicide note now. Okay. They found a torn-up rough draft of the note, and also from a spiral steno notebook, was found in the trash at Carol's apartment.
Oh, so she wrote this twice.
Yeah, which we've seen a couple times people do multiple drafts of this kind of shit. They said several crossed-out notations appear in the margins on the reconstructed rough draft.
Oh.
These include several misspellings of Carol's name.
What?
Spelled Kayrol and and Caryl. It's Carol. That's her fucking name. Not Kayrol.
Why in this shit?
And not Caryl, like Daryl. Yeah, no. So also they said a postscript added to the rough draft was also added to the final draft as a postscript not incorporated into the body, meaning she wrote the rough draft, put a PS on it, which means I forgot this, but then when she wrote the new one, she didn't put that in the letter, she PS'd it again, which sometimes you want something to be a PS, though. Yeah. That's a part of it. Like, here's what I'm talking about. By the way, this is some important shit at the bottom.
PS, feed the dog.
Exactly. Has nothing to do with the rest of it, but also, I love you. You're the most. I miss you so much. Feed the dog. Right. Yeah. Right. So they also found yet another draft of the letter found in the car. Had a torn corner still attached to the spiral notebook, and the rest of that draft was never found. So it got ripped out, but the whole page didn't come out and left a corner of it. But it was clearly a draft of this note. So it was at least 3 times this was written. All right. Now, the Werner, her cousin, and the lead investigator in the case, he doesn't even recuse himself. They don't even say, hey, since this is your cousin, why don't we let somebody else handle it? They go, cool, he knows what's going on. Yeah. High five. Yeah. Sorry about that. You might want to solve it.
Bet you know more about her than any of us, so you're probably more inclined to solve this. Best of luck. See you around.
That's it. So he was involved. He was one of the investigators who searched Carol Willett's apartment. They searched 4 times, twice to see if they could find any connection between the 2 women, and they did, and then twice to check for any other evidence involved. Who knows? In the final search, they said they opened, unfolded, and examined every item in the household, every piece of paper.
Yeah.
everything, which I think they should do on the first search probably.
Probably been more thorough the first time.
Yeah, they were like, let's just see if we'll use the wide comb this time, the wide tooth, and then we'll get more fine as we go. The searchers also included a piece-by-piece examination of her interior garbage basket and 2 exterior garbage cans as well.
Uh-huh.
The only reference to Cindy Walker found in the house was a note with Cindy Walker's name and phone number on it lying on the kitchen table near the phone. You know, like she called her shortly before leaving the night before, like she said. Other notes which were there were also found in the trash as well. They said they found letters in Cindy Walker's garbage as well there, and they were addressed to Barrett, and they said, "Love Cindy." So they're starting to piece something together here. One note discovered on top of the remains of spaghetti that she had eaten the night before, Carol here, that was in the garbage, had been torn into very tiny pieces. After it had been taped together, they said it appeared to be the rough draft of the note they found in the car.
They took the time to patch it back together.
Yeah, with spaghetti sauce on them and shit. Never bad. It's probably terrible too. Iowa in the 70s, it was like Prego or some garbage like that.
It wasn't a can, and it wasn't tomatoes that was simmered. It was
garbage
already made. Yeah.
Oh, it was absolutely ragu, and that would be if they were pushing it. They said that a leaf from the notebook was also found torn into many small pieces. They did not find any other paper in the apartment similar to the notebook paper. Other notes written by Carol were on paper with a First National Bank heading, their letterhead, and that's the bank she worked for. So there's that. One of the notes found in the garbage had an apparent order for pizza on it. It then said, call 5:30 both days, 354-2200. That's the phone number. 38 caliber. It says, Rev, meaning revolver, short, lightweight. So this is an ad for a gun that she's going to call to buy a gun. They said the phone number that the investigator said the phone number was that of the Fin and Feather Sports Shop in Iowa City.
Oh,
yeah.
Hunting. Yeah.
Yep, and they also found a check torn in half made out to Pizza Hut from February 18th, 1979. Okay. So she ate bad pizza and bought a gun. We know that. We know that much. So, fuck, man. This is super weird, and they're really they're calling it a murder-suicide, and they're trying to figure out, they say that it just sounds like something's missing. They also get search warrants for Brian Barrett's home, who said he knew the 2 women, and they were probably fighting over him, so that made him put himself right in the middle of it here. In the first search of his home, they seized a life insurance policy on Cindy Walker, the one that he bought for the trip, a towel, a curtain, and 2 notes. In the second search, they removed 3 pillowcases, samples from 2 carpets, samples of fabric covering a chair, and the contents of a vacuum cleaner bag.
Yeah, he's got to feel nervous now.
I would think, Jesus, even if you did, whether you did something or not, this isn't looking good.
They took your vacuum, man.
Yeah, Jesus, they fucking...
That's thorough.
What kind of a sick bitch takes the ice trays? This is one of those. They took the vacuum bag? Jesus Christ.
What kind of sick bitch takes the Eureka bag?
Good God. So they talked to him. He does an interview with the cops, Brian Barrett. He says, yeah, Carol caught me and Cindy in bed the week before. She's been kind of pissed. He said, I wrote her the letter telling her, Carol, that I didn't want to see her anymore. And, there's that. And he said that he said that at the time, the reason why he was surprised that Carol showed up is because her car was in the shop and she would have had to walk 20 blocks in zero degree temperatures, which the cops were like, I don't know if she'd do that. But to me, that's very fucking possible. Jealousy will keep you warm for 20 miles or 20 blocks, not even miles.
Rage is so warm. It's sweaty warm.
And love makes you do crazy shit.
Sure does.
That fucking astronaut lady drove across the country with several
shitting in herself.
Dumps of fucking shit in her pants. Love makes you do weird things.
Sure does.
That wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility that someone would do that if they thought.
She didn't even have to shit on herself. It was just walking.
I'm married now, and I've been married before. 20 blocks in the cold is nothing if they think you're banging somebody, period.
Easy peasy.
Easy fucking peasy. So, Yeah, they were. They also issue a search warrant for a Ford Pinto owned by Brian, as well as his residence as well. They're looking for a journal or document describing the means of the slayings. They're looking for 4 .38 caliber cartridges from a box purchased by Carol, and a piece of bed sheet and gunpowder residue. Basically, all the physical evidence that would make him be the murderer. They'd love to find that shit. They said
it'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah. They don't really find much of that though. They said that Barrett told the cops here. Brian said that he undersigned, the way he put it. He gave Carol a $100 bill on February 20th, 1979. She purchased the .38 caliber pistol on February 21st using that $100 bill. So they said that they didn't know, if that had something to do with it, but, that makes a lot of sense, that she got the money from there, even though she had her own money. So police, though, are suspicious of Brian here, very suspicious. They find the insurance policy on Cindy, naming him the beneficiary. But his dad said that's ridiculous to think that he'd want to murder someone because he got an insurance policy. His dad said, quote, he's very emotional, but it's a kind of emotion you find kind-hearted. You find in kind-hearted, loving people.
He's emotional, but he's sweet.
Very sweet. Now, a criminalist for the Department of Criminal Investigation for the state of Iowa, and a document expert named Jerry L. Brown. He explained the procedure involved with testing documents to determine whether they have mechanical indentations or impressions on them, meaning the letter that he sent her. In an effort to determine whether this letter had actually been sent in the envelope, it was found that Brian sent to Carol. It was postmarked February 20th with a Muscatine cancellation, or if Brian had substituted the letter after the death or something and, trying to do some shit. Yeah. Investigators ran tests on 105 envelopes at the Muscatine post office. Okay. 105. The guy said he purchased and filled 100 envelopes with 3 pages, each of Mead spiral notebook paper, your classic paper. The Mead that everybody...
It's the most common.
Every school kid has that shit. He then ran them through the Muscatine post office cancellation machine over 4 days, and he also explained that an electrostatic instrument referred to as an ESDA was used to test the pages for indentations. After all were canceled, he removed the page nearest to the front, so where it would have been the most prominent, and processed it on the machine. He said, we were looking for any evidence that we could find of a cancellation. On each of the 100 envelopes found that they found cancellation impressions on at least one of the sample pages.
Every one of them had
every 100%. He also said that he was able to find impressions on the second and third pages. He said we could definitely find it on page 2 and faint ones on page 3. In other words, there's going to be an impression.
It's like carbon paper. It's going through. It's happening.
Yeah. So it was all of them. Then there was the 5 sample envelopes that they did as well, and they all came back with impressions too. So 105 out of 105.
Uh-oh. So
they said that's not great at all. Then there's pillowcases that they're talking about. They said that these pillows, there's a similarity to pillowcases in Brian's home that used to belong to his parents that he now has, and her blindfold in her car. They said also there's evidence that that 2 cars that we told you about, one with rectangular headlights, were seen on the road on the night of the murders, one matching Willett's car and one matching it has rectangular lights, matches his Brian's father's car, and half the cars on the road. Let's be realistic here. Yeah. He said that his father here said that throughout the fall of 79, and before that, they've had one of their granddaughters living with them. During February, from the 10th to the 25th, Brian was house sitting for them. So when this happened, Brian was house sitting at their house for them while his parents went out of the country on vacation.
So he had availability of their car.
And one of the cars they owned was a 77 Buick that had rectangular taillights. So, like we said, though, that can be anything. He said, though, he had no idea about hand-sewn pillowcases or any of that bullshit. So They don't know. Now, his mom, though, Brian's mom, said she did have 4 or 6 pairs of embroidered pillowcases in her house, which had been sewn by her mother and mother-in-law. Mm-hmm. She was shown 2 pillowcases, including one with pink embroidery toward the edge, and she said she recognized them as one from her home. When asked by the police if each was taken from a pair, she said yes originally, but when you have young people moving in and out, you don't know where they go.
Sometimes you lose one.
They steal some pillowcases. She said she has several ones without mates also, like one pillow, not a set, not a pair. Yeah. She said the family also used to own a pet cat, but doesn't anymore. She said the last time one was in the house was 1977, but her daughter took it with her when she moved from home. She also said one Christmas her mother-in-law brought her cat with her for a visit. Who the fuck brings their cat with them for a visit? The senile people in Christmas Story. That's who.
And the grandparents in Christmas Vacation.
That's what I was talking about. What did I say?
Christmas Story.
Christmas Story. I meant, they come with the fucking wrapped cat.
They
and
wrap it up,
yeah,
on accident.
Yeah, that's what I was, wow, Christmas Story I said. So, yeah, that's what's going on. They said, that's so fucking weird. But the cat is happy you're gone. Leave it alone.
Get a sitter and go. Get the fuck out of town.
Jesus Christ. So she said she didn't know what year that was, though. So there could have been a cat there. Now they go to scientific evidence. Okay, this is important here. They have a forensic pathologist, and he says, in his opinion, Carol Ann Willits in the car was murdered. That's what he says. Yeah. She didn't kill herself. These are his 6 factors that he bases this on. Okay. The presence of a blindfold, which he said he's never seen in a suicide before. Yeah. The knot on the blindfold was tied on the left by a right-handed person, he said. Carol Ann was left-handed.
Oh.
They said that she was wearing large cotton work gloves, which would have made it difficult for her to tie the knot, and which would have become bunched on the trigger of the gun.
Yeah, who puts gloves on after they tie a knot?
Or before.
But you'd have to put them on after.
Then you'd have to find.
Then you'd have to find the gloves.
Feel around for the gloves.
And put the right one on the right hand.
And then where's the gun now? Because that wasn't in your hand. So it's difficult. Yeah. They said Willits' hand was found in her lap with the gun on top of her hand.
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
They said when the recoil of the gun should have sent the hand and the gun to the right, not on her lap. The path of the bullet was straight, when in most suicides the path of the bullet's at an angle. Yeah. They said also there was an intact paper bag on the seat, which should have been flattened by the gun. He said that each of the factors standing alone could be discredited, but all 6 of them, in his opinion, make it homicide, is what he said.
Calling all dog owners. Your furry friend deserves top-notch nourishment, and Ollie delivers the clean, fresh nutrition your dog needs in 5 flavors they'll absolutely flip over. Ollie is made in U.S. kitchens with ingredients carefully sourced from trusted growers and producers around the world, with absolutely no harmful fillers or preservatives. With protein-first recipes like fresh beef with sweet potatoes, fresh turkey with blueberries, or fresh lamb with cranberries, you might start thinking, dang, my dog eats better than I do. And that's probably true when it comes to Ollie. Give your pup a fresh start this new year by letting them taste test a personalized meal plan with Ollie. Head to ollie.com/Wondery. Tell them all about your dog and use code WONDERY to get 60% off your first box of meals when you subscribe today. Plus, they offer a clean bowl guarantee on the first box. So if you're not completely satisfied, you'll get your money back. That's OLLIE.com/Wondery and enter code WONDERY to get 60% off your first box. Start your dog's new year off right with Ollie. Start your dog's new year off right with Ollie.
Creating really great retail experiences is tough, especially with multiple stores, teams of staff, fulfillment centers, separate workflows. It's a lot. But with Shopify Point of Sale, you can do it all without complexity. And let's face it, acquiring new customers is expensive. With Shopify POS, you can keep shoppers coming back with personalized experiences and first-party data that give marketing teams a competitive edge. In fact, it's proven, based on a report from EY, businesses on Shopify POS see real results, like 22% better total cost of ownership and benefits, equivalent to an 8.9% uplift in sales on average relative to the market set surveyed. Want more? Check out at shopify.com/Wondery. all lowercase, and learn how to create the best retail experiences without complexity. Shopify.com/Wondery.
He said that after the victim blindfolded herself, she would have and tied the knots, she would have then had to feel around for the gloves and put them on, just like we just said. Mm-hmm. He said, I'm sure it's possible, but the problem is there's too many improbabilities and it doesn't make sense.
Right. It's weird.
He said that the location of the gun on her lap violates a couple laws of physics, is what he said. He said if you put a gun to your head and fire it, it will recoil and tend to go back out of your hand. Instead of recoiling, it appeared to have just dropped straight down.
Right.
Which doesn't make much sense. And he said it had the appearance the gun was placed over her hand. It's not the way a hand falls or a gun falls. He also said that it was weird that the paper bag wasn't disturbed. He said physics also dictate that it should have been moved. Also, the wound itself, the examination of the blindfold and the wound indicate the gun was vertical at the time. He said the unlikelihood that of the position of suicide he said it was just a weird angle for that. He said it was more consistent with a bullet from Willett's head and exit through the driver's window. Is very straight is how it went.
Yeah.
He said you're stretching out all the tendons in your hand and it's not normal. What's the purpose of it? You're contouring your hand so you can feel the pain because your hand is at an unnatural position. To be perfectly straight, you'd be more at an angle going up.
Yep.
So they said that they did verify that the bullet entered the head at a perpendicular angle that would have been unnatural for a way for someone to hold a gun to their head. They also said that the suicide note was unbelievable, the guy said. The cops said, quote, I've never seen anything like this. It doesn't look like a suicide note. We've read some weird suicide notes.
Yeah. This is bizarre.
Yeah, he said the unusual parts of it included the fact that it was written neatly and with a postscript, both the first and second drafts, obviously, like we said. He said, we find people who write suicide notes will write roughly and talk about what's bothering them, and their writing degenerates toward the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's if someone is writing right before this is going to happen. If they're in a clear-headed mind and planning this out, buying a gun the day before, it's a different story. So you never know.
Yeah. But that's the other part about suicide. It's rarely like planned out like that. It's often most of the
other
time,
thing.
Spur of the moment, fucking in the heat of the moment, heat of passion, shit like that.
Yeah, but then when you get people who aren't like, say, drinkers or things like that, a lot of times they make a full plan. They go to a hotel room. They have it set up. They know exactly.
But if somebody's including murder in that, oftentimes you've got to do some forethought. So
for
that's
real,
true too.
For real. So Cindy's mom here said that it's, a month goes by, nothing's happened. They're searching everywhere. They can't find anything. And she said, this never happens to you or someone you know. She said, especially in a town like this. She said, then you find out it can happen. Then you wonder why. And chances are we'll never know. So April of 1979, investigators try to get library records as evidence.
Oh.
They try to find out what Brian was taking out of the library. They want to know what books he had.
That's illegal, right?
Well, the library board and the Iowa Civil Liberties Union blocked them from doing that.
Right.
Yeah,
that's illegal. You can't
do that. Now, we've found out tons of times where librarians will just tell the cops.
Yeah.
Here's his shit. They don't care.
Yeah.
As we've had people even message us, go, my aunt's a librarian. She doesn't give a fuck. She said she'll totally tell on somebody. So June 1979, they exhume Cindy and Carol.
We've buried them, and now we're bringing them back up. Holy shit.
Apparently, they didn't get fingerprints very well the first time.
What?
Yeah. They didn't get good enough fingerprints, so they had to fucking dig these poor women up.
Disturb the resting place because we fucked up.
And they end up never getting a good one on Carol, ever.
Of course not, because that shit goes away.
Yep, that's soft tissue there. So,
Jesus.
Werner, the investigator and cousin here of Cindy, he said this is going on because it's going on months now. Yeah. He said new leads are being received, but the process is painstaking. He said it's like everything else. He said you try to being a police officer, to solve a case is self-satisfying. If you can't solve one, especially a big one like this, you think about it a lot. You think about how it was done, what the person did with the stuff that's missing, how it's disposed of, where it's disposed of. You try to read people's minds, I guess. He said, I only missed about 2 hours of the investigation when I went to the funeral. So, yeah.
And it's my family, so it makes it a little worse.
Yeah. And so, yeah, the family said, too, there isn't a lot to hold on to here. We just hope somebody figures out what the fuck happened here. Mm-hmm. Cindy's mother said that they're looking for some resolution, quote, so we can put the bad behind us, so we can continue our life in as normal a fashion as it will ever be after you lose one of your children. Mm. So they also said the Willets and Walkers are becoming close friends as well now because they're going through this together. Yeah. So October 1979.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's months. They've hit a dead end. They have all the evidence they're going to get at this point. They have nothing else, no witnesses are coming forward. This is it. So basically, we can take what we do and take our shot at it now, or it's going to be gone forever. So they take Brian to a grand jury to indict him for murder.
Okay.
Based on very, very scant evidence.
Shaky.
Yeah, especially because she purchased the gun the day before in order to, it's a lot. So they take it to a grand jury there. And after hearing 2.5 days of testimony, the 7-member grand jury refuses to indict him.
Yeah, there's nothing there.
They do, and you can get an indictment for anything.
Yeah.
You don't have a defense in an indictment. In a grand jury, you're not allowed to question their witnesses or put on a defense. It's just the prosecution.
Show you evidence, and what do you think?
And it's just like, it's a lot of just, assumptions too and shit like that. It's just the prosecution's case with nothing else.
Oh,
so
boy.
Still they decide to not indict him. So there is still a pending decision in court on who will collect the proceeds of a $100,000 life insurance policy that he took out on her for the trip, remember?
Yep.
Yeah. So the Walkers are disputing his claim because he tried to claim it. Mm-hmm. Now, they can't get him to indict it. They can't get an indictment on him. So they said that the Walkers are bringing a civil suit against him over the insurance claim.
Okay.
They're going to sue him for trying to claim the insurance. But Brian just drops his claim because he's asked to give a deposition by the insurance company. For the deposition, he'd have to testify under oath.
Oh.
So he just says, fuck it, never mind. Yeah. So that's how that goes. Now, right after that, within a month of the grand jury not returning an indictment, he moves away. He gets the fuck out of here.
Leaving town.
Now, whether I did it or didn't do it, I think I'd move away too.
It looks bad.
If I didn't do it, every time I go into the fucking the cafe, everybody's going to be whispering about me and all that. I'm getting the fuck out of this town. Absolutely. His mother said he moved to California with his sister. His sister lives out there. Okay. She said he was not running away. It's been a heartbreaking time for all of us. She did say the pressure of the town and everyone knowing him and knowing his business has made him want to leave. So he told his friends at first, he didn't say he was going to California. He said he was going to Liberia on the west coast of Africa to work for his father's company there.
Oh, he's going to... Okay.
Liberia's, yeah. And instead, though, he just moved to Modesto.
I mean, oftentimes Modesto can probably feel like Liberia.
Same thing. Yeah, I mean, it's hot probably.
It's not
I guess.
A nice place.
It's probably boring. Yeah, same thing. His sister was working as a nurse, so he went there. Iowa authorities said they kept tabs on him without his knowledge also. So wanted to keep an eye on him, make sure he didn't disappear. 1981, 2 civil suits are filed against him. A wrongful death suit seeking $900,000 in damages was brought by the families. That was dismissed in 1981.
Dismissed
because they don't even have a court. They have nothing.
Right.
At least Ron Goldman had the evidence from court. They don't even have a trial's worth of evidence. You know what I mean? A second suit was brought, and that ends in 1982 when he says he doesn't want the insurance money anymore anyway. So they have no more claims to him.
Yeah.
So he's just out in Modesto.
Yeah. Just figuring life out.
He's living with his golden retriever named Easy.
Yeah.
And his 2 fucking parrots. How do these birds keep coming up? He's got
and
2.
Who gets 2?
2 parrots named Mel and Queek Way.
Okay.
Kweek.
He's a fascinating man.
I don't know. He worked on the graveyard shift at the Del Monte Cannery as well.
Yeah.
Also had some odd jobs at Ply Pack Building Materials, did some remodeling and repairs to shit
This
houses.
is a man with a college degree.
An accounting degree, no less.
And he's working in Modesto Cannon shit at Del Monte?
And the overnight shift.
Yeah. The skank shift.
Yeah, this is like if you come from back then, if you like came from Czechoslovakia back then, you'd take that job and be happy and be like, oh, this is much better.
Job.
This is not great. So he had an apartment as well, the Surfside Apartments on College Avenue, where he lived. He tried to start a remodeling business, but he did a large job and it worked. So he was like, maybe I could do this for a living here. The manager of the apartments, Albert Hollander, said that he doesn't believe any of this bullshit about Brian that they're saying in Iowa. Yeah. He said, I won't believe it until I see it. I don't know what that means.
I need him to murder in front of me.
I need him to kill a lady in front of me, and then I'll go, all right, he kills women.
It's probably good for it.
I saw him every day for a year and a half, and I never saw anything unusual about him. He said that Brian would talk about his high school football and track days and about Brian's 11-year-old son, about this guy's 11-year-old son. Okay, and Brian also had a son that we know about too. Right. He said it was because of his son, and his son was back in Iowa. He decides to move back to Iowa in 1984. So 5 years later, he decides to move back. He said he doesn't want to follow in the footsteps of his father. He said he resented his father not spending time with him growing up, so he wants to be with his son. He said he was very good at showing the part of him that was good, but he felt that he was smarter than his friends or bosses. That was the only negative. He said he felt he could outthink anyone and win any argument, and he liked to pick on people's shortcomings. He would tease a fat person about being fat.
He's a hack.
That's what I mean. He's just a hack. Hey, what's up, fatty? All right, well, there's a lot of other things wrong with them, I'm sure.
Chubby fuck.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's not a matter of, oh, that's mean. It's a matter of, come up with something that's not so obvious, you fucking hacks. That's what we feel about tons of comedy that's like that. It's not a matter of we don't like it because it's offensive. We don't like it because it's hacky.
Everybody does it.
Yeah, we don't like it because everyone did it in 1973, and now you're doing it. And that's what's going on in the world right now. It's fucking pathetic. Come up with something better and funnier. So they said that he couldn't maintain a lasting relationship. A lot of people said he gets along best with, and tell me who you've heard this quote about. Mm-hmm. He gets along best with children and animals.
Oh, boy.
Can you say that's fucking Billie Jean is not my lover? Because that is exactly. I read two very long books about Michael Jackson. That is exactly what everyone said about him. Gets along best with children and animals.
Yeah.
That's a bad sign for an adult. An adult man, anyway.
Yeah, that's a guy that's not adjusted well.
Yeah, and it is. You can say, well, what about a woman? No, way different for a woman because they're not putting their dicks in as many people. That's why.
That's a veterinarian, and she's a sweet lady. Leave her alone.
Yeah, she's probably nice, or teacher or some shit. He is almost arrested in California, not for murder, but for something else here. He was working at the cannery and doing all that kind of shit, and a woman who he lived with for a while said that he tried to collect $2,000 of her home insurance policy when his belongings supposedly were stolen from her home in December of 82. Mm-hmm. She later found the missing items in a trunk and that Barrett had stored in her garage. Barrett never collected the money, by the way, but she returned the settlement to the insurance company and said, there was a mistake. We found it. Here's the money back. So it's not insurance fraud at that point.
Not stolen after all.
And she kicked him out at that point. Okay. And the county district attorney declined to file a complaint against him because they said the case did not appear strong enough.
Okay.
So
looks like misplacement, I guess?
A mistake. Thought it was there. He could very easily say it was a mistake, and that would be fine. So
I didn't realize. It was in the fucking garage in a trunk.
And the money was returned. So it's like,
I thought it was on my nightstand. Turns out it's not.
And the insurance company, once they got their money back, they don't fucking care anymore.
They don't care. Yeah.
So they're literally not going to be involved in this. So there's no evidence. So November of 1984, Brian moves back to Iowa.
Okay.
And the reason the cops found out that he moved back to Iowa is because the guy, the landlord there that said he's a nice guy, I guess Brian had a friendship with this man's 7-year-old daughter.
Oh, dear Lord.
That they would write letters back and forth. Hey, Creepy guy. Don't write fucking letters to my 7-year-old. Absolutely not. I get that. Oh yeah, he's being a nice guy. No,
it's fun
creep.
to get mail. Watch. No, it's not. It's weird.
Yeah, from Grandpa. Tell Grandpa to write her a letter. Give me a fucking break here. So they found out based on his return address on an envelope that he'd sent what his address in Iowa City was. So that's very interesting. So they noticed all of that.
That is a silver lining of that. You can keep tabs on the creep based on his fucking mailing address.
Absolutely. So November 5th, 1984, they arrest him. Yeah. He's back for like 4 days in town, and they pick him up.
Okay.
So he is arrested for murder. Yeah.
Oh.
Absolutely. Now, that night, his mom said she went to his apartment in Iowa City the night he's arrested to pick up a few things and bring back some pets. To pick up his birds and his dog, but also who knows what else she got out of there. The cops allowed a murder suspect's family member to come in and just pick some shit up from his apartment.
Some stuff. Oh my God.
Think about that.
Why would you do that?
I don't know, because you're why would you let the first cousin be the fucking one of the lead investigators? Why would you do any of this shit?
There's so much conflict.
There's so much bad work. It's just a mess. The whole thing's a mess. So they said that her husband had told her to pick up a red spiral notebook. She said, which she did. She didn't know why and didn't look in the book. She said neither did she remove any pages. And she said that she didn't see her husband remove any pages either. Her husband had visited with Brian's attorney prior to asking her to pick up the notebook, she said. So her husband went there. They said, if there's any notebooks, pick them up, and that's what they did.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They end up getting the notebooks, though, from her.
Good.
So Cindy Walker's mother said it's been 5 fucking years. Yeah. She blames let's listen to this shit. Okay, not only is the fucking one of the lead investigators the first cousin of one of the victims, but Cindy Walker's mom blames the Muscatine County chief prosecutor at the time in 1979, Stephen Peterson, for not presenting a strong enough case to the grand jury. She says, quote, he presented only what he wanted them to hear. Then she says, I have found out since then that Steve Peterson is a good close friend of Barrett's older brother, Bruce. Oh my God. No, all of this is why we do this show. 'Cause it's like, what the fuck, man? Now, Peterson denied any preferential treatment, adding that he involved state prosecutors just like him, and it's all fine. Even though he was the guy in charge, it's still, So the prosecutor in this case is James Ramey is his name. He says for the trial, he says it's the most unusual case I've ever seen. It really is fucking weird. Yeah. And there's a lot of mushy parts to it, a lot of just kind of nebulous.
Conflict of interest. Conflict. Constant.
Oh, that too. I mean, in the actual evidence of the actual case, and then really in the prosecuting of it, the whole thing's a disaster. So he said that this guy's ready to do this here. He said the only case he only had one case where he lost a murder trial. Oh. So he says he's ready to fucking go, man. Uh-huh. He said, we could have asked for a change of venue, the defense attorney says, but we're confident the people of Muscatine can render a fair verdict. I only know of 2 people who could tell the whole story. One is dead and the other is the defendant. That's what the prosecutor says. Uh-huh. So now the prosecutor, because right away they have a person who has what's kind of a suicide note and a gun on her. Right. It just doesn't look good from the outside. It looks like it's, an obvious murder-suicide unless you get really into the details. He said that he doesn't think it's a suicide note, though. He said there's no direct reference to suicide, which a lot of notes don't have a direct reference to suicide. That's very common. They don't go, I'm going to take this gun and put it in my mouth. They just tell you what's concerning to you.
Right.
And no mention of Carol's family, and no explicit account of Cindy's murder, which, again, is not detailed account, doesn't matter. It's in Carol's handwriting. He does admit that. It's impossible to fucking deny it. He says, though, that it was artfully drafted and said that Carol didn't write it with plans of killing herself. That's what he thinks. They said to the prosecutor, well, why do you think she wrote that note like that? And he says, well, I can't answer that question. I know what it wasn't for, but I don't know what it was for, which is not a good answer also. The defense attorneys say that the discovery of the rough draft in her apartment suggests that she planned and wrote the note out. That's why it was nice and neat, because she fucking did it 3 times. She was kind of studious. Right. So the defense lawyer says he thinks it's weird too. He said, I don't think I've ever read or heard a case that was so much entirely based on circumstantial evidence. They said the prosecution does not have a single piece of physical evidence linking Brian with the crimes. None. They're not putting him there. Mm-hmm. Somebody saw a car near there with rectangular headlights or taillights, and his father has a car with rectangular taillights. That is not enough. So they said, quote, this is the defense attorney, we feel that if one looks at the evidence with an open mind and not just pick out a suspect and try and convict him, that there's more than a reasonable doubt to this case. Brian wants a bond here. He wants to get out. He says, I'm an Eagle Scout and an honor student who's never been charged with a criminal offense in my life. This is ridiculous.
I'm an accountant. I'm the most boring person on the planet.
Look at these glasses, huh?
Right.
Look at this head.
Yeah.
Does this look like the head of a man who goes out and fucking does crazy shit? Hell no. So a friend of the family, who's a manager at the Lumber Mart in Muscatine, signed a court affidavit promising a full-time job for Barrett if they'd free him on bond. I'll put him to work. Another affidavit was submitted by someone you wouldn't expect, his ex-wife, Diana.
Oh, what Diane
submitted one. She said, quote, I don't feel that Brian Barrett is a threat to my life or safety or to the life or safety of anyone else.
Oh, babe, I got a spiral notebook for you.
Yeah, that's what I mean, about you. So she wants that lowered. But the prosecutor said, what are murder suspects supposed to look like? Some look like Jim Clint, who was a murderer in Iowa. Yeah. Some look like Klaus von Bülow. I've never seen a murder suspect with blood dripping from his fangs. Like, come on, who cares if he's a mild-mannered looking accountant? So 1985 here, pre-trial, they want the notebooks excluded.
I would too.
Yeah, I would too. Yeah. They said that there was never any in the notebooks. There's nothing about killing these two women. So they're like, this doesn't directly relate to the murders. This is just
shitty and makes my client look bad. That's all it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is like he could say it was a creative writing exercise. I mean, you can't take somebody and go, well, these screenplays they wrote, obviously they murdered somebody. Like, that's not how it works. So they said that they kept this packed with references of how to commit the perfect murder. Mm-hmm. The plots are spelled out to the finest detail, the prosecutor said, ranging from concocting incriminating letters to strategically placing hair samples to throw investigators off. Mm-hmm. They said he's not just thinking about ways to murder a person, but he's talking about how to place the evidence. Page after page shows clearly that Barrett is a person familiar with physical evidence and familiar with police techniques. Mm-hmm. Okay. They said that, Jesus Christ. One of his attorneys said it may not be an appropriate way to respond, but he was going through a divorce at the time. He said it may not be the way you or I would respond, but that's the way Brian Barrett did. It's a journal written by a man who really didn't have anyone else to talk to. Mm-hmm. She said he doesn't have anybody to blow off steam and go, I fucking just want to. She doesn't have that person, so he does it on paper.
You got a mirror.
I guess. The defense attorneys also say that the book was improperly seized and that its contents had nothing to do with the case. And so this is ridiculous. You can't take everybody's writings. So they said the writings were irrelevant. They asked the judge to exclude the diaries, and they let the diaries both in. This is the 77 notebook that was photocopied and the later notebook that had the I want to kill and fucking molest a paperboy and all that shit. So the defense is it's a love triangle, which Carol shot Cindy, then shot herself, and that's that. And leaving him alone.
That's what we've got.
Yep, and he even says before the trial starts, the defense attorney says, in 6 years, the defense side of this case hasn't been told. So, they said Brian Barrett firmly believes that by the end of this month, he'll be vindicated. I would suppose he's feeling some level of relief. He's about to go on first-degree murder. He's feeling relief. Okay.
But the thing is that it's not his job to explain why he's innocent. It's their job to explain why he's guilty.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Quad City Times on April 14th, 1985 laid out the scenarios very well, everything succinctly here. They lay out the innocent scenario, the guilty scenario. Okay. And I'll read what they wrote because it's pretty perfect.
Fair.
Innocent scenario. Okay. Both Cindy Walker and Carol Willits, who knew each other but aren't close friends, became infatuated with Barrett. One night, Barrett brings Cindy to his favorite bar, Jody's Tavern, and they meet an insurance friend of Barrett's who sells them a life insurance policy. Because that's, by the way, how the policy came about.
Wow.
A friend of theirs was at a bar who sold insurance, and he was like, well, we're going on that trip. We should get you insurance.
Okay.
So it's not like he called somebody and said, hey, we have an appointment tomorrow.
Yeah. Right.
They were out having a drink. The friend, Tom Howell, now living in St. Louis, notices that both Cindy and Barrett are excited about their relationship and to tell him plans of taking a trip. Barrett explains to Howell that the insurance is necessary to protect him financially in the event that Cindy would die in an accident during the trip and her parents would sue him for liability.
Yeah,
that is a really weird thing to think about.
But if you sit around drinking with somebody and that's their job, you can get from A to B there for sure.
Their insurance people are always trying to sell you insurance too.
Always be closing.
Fuck yeah. A few days after the shootings, Carroll walks in on Cindy and Barrett in bed at his home. Court documents refer to a subsequent 3-page letter from Barrett to Carroll, postmarked on February 20th, in which he explains his relationship with Cindy and concludes, I am the way I am. Sorry. Okay. The next day, a distraught Carroll borrows $100 from Barrett and buys a .38 pistol. On February 22nd, Carroll goes to the supermarket to buy ingredients for a spaghetti dinner that evening in her apartment. She invites 4 female friends to share the meal. One of them is Pam Skidmore. She thinks Carroll's in great spirits. But after the meal, Carroll telephones Cindy at 10 p.m. Cindy tells her parents that Carroll invited her to spend the night and that the two of them were going to Iowa City the next day to see someone with a new baby. In the meantime, Carroll writes a suicide note in her apartment. Actually, she writes 2 notes, a rough draft that's later discovered in the trash with spaghetti that wasn't eaten, and a carefully worded, neatly scribed final product. When she meets Cindy that night, Carroll drives to a dirt road and fires 3 shots into her. She then parks her Ford Granada at the intersection of US 61 and Burlington Road, leaves the engine running, places the suicide note on the dash, covers her eyes with a blindfold, and shoots herself. The driver's side window shatters completely after the bullet passes through her head. Uh-huh. All the while, Barrett is at home asleep. That's their scenario.
That is a very interesting story.
And very possible story, too.
Is it, though? I mean,
well, physically, outside of the physical evidence of the gunshot, all the rest of that is logical and follows.
It's just an interesting. That means that girl was so distraught, she wrote a letter of suicide with plans of murdering somebody after inviting 4 friends over to have dinner
and have a fun, nice dinner.
Right. It's just very
It's
strikes. It's odd. Listen, mental health makes you do wild shit.
That's the other thing.
Yeah.
But the guilty scenario, let's read about that. This is guilty. Brian Barrett isn't just the very emotional person his father describes, but is a smooth con artist who resents women and has plotted against them since his divorce of his wife in 1977. In late 1978, he strikes a romantic relationship with Cindy Walker, and in December of that year convinces her to sign a life insurance policy after promising to take her on a trip to California. Then he begins to play on Carol Willett's affections. A few days before the killings, Barrett gives her a $100 bill to purchase a pistol, perhaps after leading her to believe her life is in danger. On the night, they have no proof of that, by the way. On the night of February 22nd, he arranges to meet with Carol and Cindy, either together or separately, and drives them to the countryside. He somehow talked Carol into writing him a note before she ventures out that night. This is what I mean. Why'd she write that fucking note?
Right. Yeah.
It could be interpreted as a suicide note, but it also could be interpreted as a note to break off the relationship. For Barrett's purposes, the note comes as close to a suicide note as he could have hoped for. At their rendezvous, Barrett shoots Cindy and leaves her body on a dirt road. A short time later, in Carol's car, he wraps a blindfold around Carol and shoots her as well. Why would she allow him to blindfold her? For what?
Right.
Put these gloves on? Like, it makes no sense. He shoots her as well. The bullet passes through her head and makes a hole in the driver's side window. He then plants the murder-suicide evidence in Carol's car, including Carol's suicide note, strands of Cindy's hair, and a letter supposedly written from him to Carol that suggests that she had caught Barrett and Cindy in bed together. He puts that letter in an envelope, postmarked February 20th. In his haste, he forgets to remove Carol's blindfold. He exits out of the passenger side. So he did everything meticulously, including planting hairs, but then he just left the blindfold on the murder victim. So he's either the most meticulous, perfect con artist, but he's also a fuck up. But you can just reconcile that. I think he did it. I'm not saying he didn't, but there is no evidence of it whatsoever.
The letter though is weird because the misspelling of the name on the rough draft is weird.
Even all of that. Who says he did that though? That's what I mean. We're saying if Carol didn't do a murder-suicide, then he must have killed them.
That's right.
But there's no evidence putting him in
right.
it.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? Other than he might benefit from the death. Outside of that, they don't have any fucking actual evidence, which is a problem. And when he shuts the opposite window with the bullet hole, the opposite window with the bullet hole crumbles from the impact. So he slams the door and then the bullet.
Okay.
The
door smash. Yeah.
With the appearance that Cindy was killed by Carol, Barrett figures he can cash in the insurance policy. He tries, but withdraws his claim to the benefits when Cindy's parents challenge the policy in court. 3 years later in Modesto, Barrett begins living with a nurse named Cecilia French and asks her to take out a life insurance policy naming him as the beneficiary. She refuses. In late December 1982, Miss French discovers her house had been burglarized and several items belonging to her and Barrett had taken that were insured. She later finds a notebook of Barrett's with a list of items stolen above the words $1,500 profit.
Oh.
So he likes to write everything down.
Sure does.
So the strategy of the prosecutor, those are the two scenarios. So clearly, they said that they will be able to convince the jury to envision a plot that would frighten anybody here. They said that this plot, it's outlined in his book. He calls it carried out by a man, quote, totally bound up in complex homicidal plans for profit. On cross-examination, they have the doctor up there. He gives all the stuff we said about physical evidence. They have a small exchange. They said, you reached a judgment on the 29th day of November and you haven't changed it, have you? He said, nothing's been presented to me since then to change my opinion. And then the defense attorney says, then you're about to. You're 99% right and you're not about to change your opinion, are you, Doc? And he said, I change my opinions when you present material to me to show me I am wrong, then I'll change my opinion. So they have this thing. The defense attorney calls him so inflexible or dogmatic that he would never change his position if presented with contrary evidence. And he said, no, that's not true. They went back and forth about a God complex. Do you have a God complex? He said, yeah, he doesn't have a God complex and all that kind of shit.
Where he thinks he's God or afraid of God?
Thinks he's God. Okay. Doctors have a God complex where they think they know everything people say and shit like that. So Brian testifies, and he said, yes, he did write shit. I did write schemes to blind and murder my former wife. I did do that, but I never intended to follow up on them. I was just blowing off steam. Yeah. He said that he called the plot to kidnap a paper boy. Jesus Christ. He said that was just the result of a fascination with kidnapping because he'd been reading about it a lot.
But what's with the sexual assault of a child?
That's the thing. He said, I guess you'd call it maybe a morbid curiosity.
Oh, morbid.
That's one way to put it.
That's sick.
Curiosity is one way to put wanting to fuck a fucking paper boy, I suppose. That's weird. So, yeah, they said that the schemes he wrote in 1977 constituted a, quote, release of the feelings I had, blowing off steam. He said he didn't want to kill his wife. He said writing the schemes were my fantasy revenge or something I felt I could do. He said his feelings of bitterness and frustration and helplessness at the time caused him to have no other choice but to write the shit down so he felt like he had some control.
Yeah.
Okay, now, closing arguments here. This is interesting. The prosecutors are trying to say that he's lurid and graphic and disgusting diaries. And, obviously he did it. Anyone that would write that is a sick fuck, and he has it all in his brain, and he would do it. He said that, quote, this is what he's talking about the book, not the evidence of the trial. He said, we're talking about castration. We're talking about sex slavery. We're not talking about anything in this case. That's what the defense attorney said. He's talking about bullshit. The prosecutor said, though, the diaries showed that Barrett was capable of coldly plotting a murder for profit, and there was legitimate evidence. He said, this is not your ordinary street killing. It's one of these things, one of those things from which movie plots are made. Or a good podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they told the jurors also, the prosecution, that Carol was not the type of person to commit murder or suicide. He said the evidence did show that Carol was a very, very clean, wholesome young lady who was active in her church, did not smoke, drink, or use profanity, and had told her friends she intended to remain a virgin until married.
Is that right?
To me, if I'm the prosecution, I don't want the jury to know that.
No?
Because that says that would make more sense of why she did what she did. If she's said, I'm going to save myself for marriage, then she fucked this guy, and he told her, hey, not interested, banging this other chick, that might make, that's more.
That might make her crazy, yeah.
There's more, to me, that's more reason for her to do that, more motivation of just that would, whatever. I'm not saying that she did it, I'm just saying that. So the verdict comes in, and this is, could go any way here.
Boy, yeah.
It's 7 women and 5 men on the jury. They deliberate over 5 days for 23 and a half hours. They deliberate. This is a tough one. And this is, 2 first-degree murder charges. And they find him guilty of 2 first-degree murder charges.
Really?
Yep. That's tough, man. That's one of those where it's like, shit, you don't want to say he did it too well, but he didn't leave a lot of evidence. So
or too terribly, because
or too badly.
The weird shit that's involved makes it far too, like, if you're going to make something look like a murder suicide, make it go away easy and fast. This didn't go away easy and fast at all.
No, not at all. So sentencing comes around.
Yeah.
And he is told, you, sir, may fuck off, 2 life sentences, no parole.
Oh, wow.
2 life withouts he got.
That is, with that?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Well, that's the thing.
Boy.
If you find him guilty, the judge doesn't reconcile it with, well, I'm not sure, so I'll give you a light sentence. It's either you didn't do anything or life without parole, one or the other. And it's
work it out on appeal. I don't know what to tell you, man.
So weird. Well, 1986 is an appeal, obviously, of this. You think there's going to be a fucking appeal here. The Supreme Court decision said that Judge Max Werling from the first trial did not err by admitting the evidence of a 143-page journal that Barrett wrote several years before the crime. That journal, when considered with other evidence, suggested, among other things, a plot to kill his former wife and collect insurance proceeds. He said, quote, the journal was admissible under the Iowa rules of evidence as tending to dispel an innocent explanation for the defendant's purchase of life insurance on one of the victims. So because he mentioned life insurance in there, he said that would be similar. However, the Supreme Court ruled that the judge ruled incorrectly, admitting the second journal, the one about molesting fucking paper boys and stuff.
Nothing to do with this shit.
Yeah, that journal also recounted plots for hypothetical crimes. They said the hypothetical crimes discussed in the second journal, while inflammatory, bore no similarity in motive or method to the crimes charged here.
Right. It's hard.
Just inflammatory.
It's hard to say you're not a murderer when you're willing to molest and murder and kidnap a child.
A child who's just trying to deliver a shitty paper. So they said the second journal was therefore inadmissible under the same rule of evidence because its only relevance was to show a character trait suggesting that the defendant acted in conformity therewith on a particular occasion. The High Court also said that the 3 rulings made by him were correct, though. The photocopying by police of the journal they said, was not an unlawful search and seizure and didn't violate his Fourth Amendment rights. The journal was found and read by restaurant employees who then turned it over to the police, so the police obviously could read it. Right. The admission into evidence of the journal did not violate the right to freedom from incriminating himself, and admitting evidence concerning certain experiments conducted by investigators on some of the evidence. The state was not required to show the scientific reliability of the experiments as a prerequisite. So that's what they said, so they overturn his conviction. Overturn.
What are you going to do now?
New trial.
Really?
Trial. The new trial. Yeah, they're going to do another trial.
Oh boy.
Yeah. They said that the defense said we cannot agree with the trial court's decision to admit the contents of the other journal. It's difficult to imagine a more inflammatory subject matter for purposes of inducing prejudice into a trial. That's rough. So yeah, so the reaction is his defense attorney said, I'm pleased that he will now get a fair trial. The mother, though, Cindy Walker's mother said that she predicts an easy second conviction.
Oh, You are very confident.
She said, I have no doubt that he will be convicted again. I wasn't pleased with the news. She said, we always knew the possibility of a new trial, but we were hoping we wouldn't have to go through this again. She said, a second trial will be easier than the first. We've seen the evidence and we'll know what to expect. It won't be easier emotionally, though. I could see that. She also said that the family members will attend the second trial. She said, we thought it was all in the past, and now we find it isn't. We're facing another long, drawn-out ordeal. I guess we'll have to go through it again. So retrial comes around. Retrial. This one, it's the same evidence. They allow the same exact shit in that they allowed in the first one.
Except for the
second journal.
Yeah, right.
That's it. Otherwise, they allow all the same shit. They deliberate for 6 hours only, from 23 and a half to 6. And they find him guilty again on 2 counts of second-degree murder.
Oh, boy.
Sentence to you, sir, may indeed still fuck off.
Yeah.
2 life without paroles.
Oh, my God.
Okay.
What is with Modesto creating people that are thrown away for some questionable shit?
That
wild. Probably did it.
That probably did it. Yeah, that probably did it. So he also, the prosecutor said, he expects they'll appeal again. He said, quote, I haven't seen a murder case yet where an appeal wasn't filed. There's always a possibility of another trial when an appeal is filed. Gosh. If there's a third time, I'll be here a third time. He said, I did expect the jury to take a little longer in deliberations. I'm very pleased with the jury's verdict. It's easier when 24 jurors have found this. Now this is twice. He thought that the second trial was tougher than the first. He said, you lose your edge. I was more intense the first time.
Yeah, because you had more evidence.
Yeah, well, he said that's the other thing. He said the evidence, this is what he said to the jury, it's not about pieces. It's about a jigsaw puzzle. One piece does not mean anything, but you put all the pieces together and you have a nice picture of what happened. It's my cousin Vinny's card thing.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Identical.
So the brother, this is Bruce Barrett. This is the guy who's friends with the first prosecutor who didn't get an indictment here. They get 2 convictions. That guy couldn't get an indictment. Same evidence. So they said that he said this all stems from a botched police investigation.
That's what Bruce said?
That's what Bruce said, the brother. He said this whole thing. He said the opinion of Bruce Barrett is that, he said, quote, I don't have any hard feelings toward anyone. The biggest thing I feel is that the original investigation was botched. He said evidence was not collected. The investigation was not to seek the truth, but to convict my brother. He said that, he said this is silly. He said that the jurors considered the prosecutor's antics in the courtroom more than the evidence. He said he did a little ball shuffle shift fucking deal there. Yeah. He said he was extremely surprised the jury could have reached the verdict in so short of time unless they had been greatly influenced by knowledge of the prior conviction and the theatrics in the court. He said Ramey convinced them, not the evidence. They said the jury couldn't have looked through 150 pieces of evidence in 6 hours. Said no one has yet explained how my brother did it, how he could have gotten the girls together. But he did call the last 8.5 years a horrendous situation for his family. He said the real tragedy is that 2 girls died, and I feel for the families, but 3 families have suffered and will continue to suffer. But another tragedy is happening. My brother has been in jail for 3 years, and he shouldn't be there.
Okay.
So, February.
I see him being manipulative and getting that girl to do this stuff.
Absolutely. It's
and
just
then he
so
killed her after.
They haven't even put together like a
way of it
a really timeline. Yeah, they haven't said here's what happened from start to finish.
She doesn't know that other girl though consistently enough. The only thing she has is her name and number next to her phone. That tells me he told her to call her.
Maybe, yeah. Why'd she write that note then? Why'd she write it 3 times? Why'd she do? There's so much that's just it's a lot to. If I'm on a jury, I'm like, it's too much. It's just too messy. It's too muddy. Yeah, right. Too muddy. February '89. There's an appeal again. Here. They said, wow, this is very interesting. During the proceedings, evidence was given that Barrett had been linked romantically and all that. And they said they talked about no indictments the first time. His lawyers said that over 50% of the first panel of jurors had some prior knowledge of the case, and that didn't mean he didn't get a fair trial. They said the evidence does not support a guilty verdict. They said, though, the prosecutors say they do. And the Iowa Court of Appeals It's a 6-person panel, which makes no sense. Why you would have a tie be possible, but they have a 6-person panel, and they split 3-3 on upholding the conviction, which a tie goes to the conviction's upheld.
Of course, yeah.
So he remains in prison. May of 1996. A U.S. district judge rules that prosecutors at the second trial violated his constitutional rights by admitting a journal written prior to the deaths of. They let the 77 journal in again. He also ruled that testimony by the pathologist about his colleagues was hearsay because he said a few things that like, oh, well, my colleague thought this. Well, where's he testifying?
God damn it.
Get him up here. May 5th, 1998. A 3-judge panel of the 8th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals. That's getting up there. Concurred that the forensic doctor there, his testimony was hearsay, and they also overturned the decision that the journal written by Barrett was inadmissible. This decision leads to the possibility of a third trial. A third trial. The Attorney General's office asked the entire 8-judge panel to review the decision. So Cindy Walker's mom said, quote, "It's a mess. I just can't believe a couple of judges can retry the whole thing over a little phrase said wrong. We thought we were home free in 87. The jury took only 6 hours to deliberate, but I'm confident a third trial will still result in a conviction. The truth never changes. What was said in the courtroom in 84 was true, what was said in 87 was true, and it will still be true if you go to trial tomorrow."
Okay, Ma.
Problem is they never retry him. He's just in life. They don't, because he doesn't get it. It doesn't get dismissed. So it doesn't get overturned. So there's no reason to retry him. He just stays in prison for the next.
Oh, really?
25 years. Yeah. There's no.
So there's no overturn.
No overturn.
Okay.
They looked at it more, and then nothing ever happened. So he just ended up staying there.
We just don't like the way this happened, but keep him.
Yep. But you can hang on to him for a while. Until February 11th, 2021. So in the last couple years, Brian is pronounced dead in prison. Yep, dead due to an unexpected medical emergency at the Anamosa State Penitentiary. Foul play is not suspected, and they're going to do an autopsy to determine the cause of death. He's a 60-year-old man living in prison. I'm going to say heart attack, stroke.
He probably died of 60 years old in prison.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So there you go. So he's dead.
Holy shit.
That's Muscatine, Iowa, and what a fucking mess. I don't know what happened there.
Oh, my God.
I'm pretty sure he did it.
Yeah.
I'm 98% sure he did it. I'm also 98% sure that they had their heads firmly up their asses the entire time they fucking investigated. A lot of fuck-ups. I mean, this is just a mess. This is the essence of small-town murder is this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's mom's embroidered pillowcase on the girl's face.
Yeah, maybe. So they don't know. It's similar fabric, they said.
Yeah, right.
It's not a match. That's
but
what I mean.
Her family made them, so she's got to know, right?
She said that some could be, but I mean, it could be other things too. And
but
they don't
100% didn't commit suicide. That didn't
don't
happen.
think so. No, don't think that happened. No, and then also they don't have like a pillowcase that piece was ripped out of, so they don't have that. So they have no way.
So wherever that went is gone.
They don't know.
Right.
They don't know anything about it, and they have the forensic evidence. Looks like a girl didn't shoot herself when she bought the gun the day before herself, and was with this. Clearly, there was something going on there where she was upset with
him over her. Yeah.
Yeah. Because obviously that happened. I didn't mean to fucking, take your attention the wrong way.
Right.
Obviously means that he told her at some point, whether that letter was in that mail or not, he told her at some point, I'm not going to see you anymore because she said, sorry about that, didn't mean to press. Basically.
Or he didn't tell her that, and he mailed her something else, and he put that letter in there.
Well, yeah, that letter wasn't mailed, so he must have switched out the letters. But in the letter he did write her, he must have told her just something similar, with less detail, possibly. I don't know. Maybe just this letter he thought was better. But I mean, if he did too, he did. Like I said, if you're going to try to frame something up, I mean, it's about as good as you can do it.
Yeah.
In a bad way, obviously. But
he was convicted, so I mean, they
not
did
great,
enough, evidently.
But yeah, no shit. That's very weak evidence.
Ooh,
very weak. I mean, Jesus Christ, compared to OJ, that was like.
You can't even put the gun in his hand, for Christ's sake.
Not at all.
At least OJ had a cut on his hand.
Yep. She bought the gun, and
Yeah.
in the end, the gun was in her lap. There's never any time of, and then Brian was holding the gun. No one's ever seen him with the gun. It's her gun. So it's crazy. That's Muscatine, Iowa, everybody, on the river. Oh, the pearls and the scarecrows. There you go.
Tall glass of Muscatine.
Holy shit. If you enjoyed that, tell the world about it. Get on Apple Podcasts or whatever app you're listening on. Give us 5 stars. It really does help a lot. It helps drive the show up the charts. We have no fucking idea why, but it does. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
It's helpful, and it takes 2 seconds. It's an easy way to help your boys out here. Also, head over to shutupandgivememurder.com. Get your tickets for all the live shows. 2023 is all available. The entire tour is available, and they're selling out fast. Boston in November is sold out. Salt Lake City sold out. Denver's almost sold out. Minneapolis, San Diego. None of these are anytime soon. The earliest ones in there is July, and they're selling out. So that's crazy. Get your tickets all for those. Chicago, that's going to be our biggest show ever. And everybody, there is no Milwaukee show this year.
Right.
I know some people have been waiting, and I got a message. I'm waiting for that Milwaukee show. Not happening.
Let's go to Chicago.
Yeah, we wanted to do a Milwaukee show. The scheduling just didn't work out with the venue and stuff, so we couldn't. We'll be back next year, but come to Chicago. It's an hour away. Give me a goddamn break. Come to Chicago
right there.
and see it. Yeah, the Chicago people
flew
came
there.
to Milwaukee. Yeah, that was crazy.
That was
I
awesome.
drove there and made it there sooner. It was awesome to waste 4 hours for no reason. That was,
It was
great.
awesome. They said, "Would you like a drink? Tough shit. We're landing."
Yeah. It was awesome to sit there for an hour and 45 minutes before we took off when I could get to Chicago in an hour and 20.
This is
That's
the
awesome.
craziest flight I've ever done in my life. I can't believe I did it.
That was funny as shit. So come to that. Come see us all over there. And by the way, coming up, if you're listening to this right now, it is going to be tonight and tomorrow. We're in the 23rd and 24th. We're in Seattle of March. Shows, tickets available still, barely any, but some. And then Portland, 2 shows that night. I think the early show sold out, but there's tickets to the late show still. So get your tickets to that as well. And if you have early show tickets, the late show is going to be different. So come see 2 shows. You can do that too. Hang out with us. Do all that shit. 420, April the 20th, virtual live show. It's available for 7 days after that as well, so you can watch it anytime you want. You can watch it 10 times if you want. Do whatever you want with it. You can buy it a week for that week, but it's going to be just like a live show. We're doing our live show thing with the pictures and joking, and you are going to be in your living room is the only difference. And it's 420, so I'm going to get Jimmy super stoned in a very, very fun way for you. It will be visually pleasing. Trust me on that one. So get your tickets there. Shutupandgivememurder.com. Patreon.com/crime and sports is where you get all the bonus stuff. We have years worth of shows. There's almost 200 back episodes of bonus stuff. You can all binge on it all. Anybody $5 or above. And you get new ones every other week. 2 of them. One crime and sports, one small town murder. You get it all this week. We're going to talk about, by the way, we try to make it so even if you're not into sports or crime and sports stuff, which you should listen to crime and sports because it's very funny, but even if you're not into that, the Patreon stuff is kind of shit you might still like. We like to do that. So everybody likes all the Patreon stuff. We're going to talk about the 0-26 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A story of failure is fun for anybody.
Bad story.
We'll talk about that. Why? What fucking caused that mess? We'll talk all about it. Then for Small Town Murders bonus, we're going to talk about Jodi Arias.
Fantastic.
Which, I mean, it happened in Mesa, which isn't a small town, but we both lived in Phoenix at the time and heard a lot about it. And I've read very recently 2 very, very detailed books about all the evidence and everything. So I'm locked and loaded on Jodi Arias. Ready to go and ready to probe her many interesting mental orifices. We're going to get into all of it there. Jodi Arias, patreon.com/crime and sports, and you'll get a shout out in just a minute too at the end of the show. You want to follow us on social media, easy to do that, at Small Town Murder on Instagram, at Murder Small on Twitter, at Small Town Pod on Facebook. Also, our new show is coming out. Keep your eyes open. We will tell you a date as it comes closer, probably when we're like 3 weeks, a month out. We just had a lot of business stuff to set up, and we have other stuff cooking right now. So it's all good stuff. Trust us. So we're very busy, and it just got delayed, but we are jacked for it. Your stupid opinions coming to you where we talk about people's dumb internet reviews. That said, Jimmy, you know what I need right now after that dirty, filthy story? I need to hear the list of people who aren't dirty or filthy at all, unless they're being cool about it. So Hit me with the names of the dirtiest, filthiest, coolest motherfuckers on earth. Hit me with them now, Jimmy.
This week's executive producers are Karen from Alabama, Adam Simon, Brian Whitney. Happy birthday, Brian.
Happy birthday.
Sophie Santo probably, and her sister in Austria. Thank you so much.
Thank
Jordan
you.
Bennett in Canada. Florence
course, we love her.
Cullerton. Stephanie Saloff. Happy birthday, Stephanie.
Happy birthday.
Robert David, Matt, and Devin Jennings. Thank you so much, you guys, for everything you do.
so much.
Other producers this week are Corporal Carl Kirshner, Carly Mann from Home Run Espresso, Liz Vasquez, Peyton Meadows, Anna Lou, I think, Cody Leversey in Detroit. We'll see you soon. Eros Whiskey and Tequila at Centennial Kennels in Canada. Catherine Collado, Andrew Youngberg had a cat. What is this? Had a cat named... Andrew had a cat named Burgoo. I imagine that cat is dead, and I hope you didn't eat your cat.
I hope not either. I hope they didn't turn it into Burgoo.
His dad named it Burgoo,
Oh,
I think.
no.
That's wild.
Little
What a
Burgoo.
weird place we live in. Carrie Klemek, Nicole Clausen, Janice Hill, Mary Kip Sousley, congratulations on your divorce. Dan's mom, Anita Penis. I hope she gets it. Mike,
Good for you. Good luck.
Mike Hawk. I hope you're proud of that one as well. Darcy
Wow.
Standifer. You'll never make the 6. What is that? Oh, who said that? In what movie? You'll never make the 6. I think that's Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, right?
Oh, you'll never make. Yeah, probably.
I think so.
Something.
Tatum, with no last name. Keelan McCollin, Alex Patterson, Laura Varney, maybe Jim's
wife?
daughter. Yeah,
Jim's wife or daughter.
Laura. Amelia Boyd, Rachel
Jim.
Ugly, Banjo Bobby, Samantha with no last name, Jen Lacombe, Adam Clark, Annie Skelton, Mike Lendy, Chris Furness, Holly Tregurtha, Brendan Small, JD with no last name, Taylor with no last name, Catherine Cook, Mama Lovejoy, JD Walt, that's what it is, Welts Toivonen, Welts Toivonen. That's not right.
Yeah.
Ben Bauer,
Welts.
Cassie Ferreira, Janet Lunn, Isabella Moore, Michelle Trash. Oh, it's Thrash. Sorry about it, Michelle.
Jesus Christ.
Jack Welker, Nicholas Waldowski,
Michelle,
Megan
you trash.
Megan McCausland, Sarah Murphy, Nicole Schlutz. Tanya
careful
Smith
with that one.
is sincerely Juan Reyna gonna work here anymore.
Yeah.
Mary Skaggs, Jordan Freeman, Rome Upton, Amanda Meyer, Bebelcher, 1999, Ashley Lovelace, Aaron Winston, Marcy Ron, Ches Spicer. Morgan O'Leary, Julie Ramsey, Pam Kerensky. Yep, Sam Richardson.
Richardson?
What the fuck is
Richardson.
happening? That's not real. Jessica. Who says that?
Jesus
Jessica.
Christ.
It's real. It's the classy way of saying Richardson.
Richardson, sir.
Richardson, party of 4.
Oh, my God.
Jessica Rotondo, Allison Davis, Reed Hyam, Rosalind Reinhardt, Nathan with no last name, Theodore Glossmeyer, Tim Rose, Heather with no last name, Wanava 123, Jenu Cortez,
Hey.
Alexandra Keller, Joshua Baker, Jennifer Hayer, Lisa Harper, Tabby with no last name, Michael Sack, Jake with no last name, Amy with no last name, Allie, Sprague, Rachel Souter, Joshua Cates, Alas Rocham, Jen Dahl Colson, Caitlin Bauer, Maria with no last name, Jariah with no last name, Samson 72, Dante Prince, Stina with no last name, Chad James, Siddhartha Saunders, Meg. I'm saying it the same way 4 times. I apologize. I haven't changed a thing with that.
Richardson.
Obviously. Megan Wilson. Brian Freeman. Smokey McPot, 30. Matt. Giovanni Gibellini. Is it Gibellino? Is it Gibellino or Gibellino? Gibellino? What do you do?
It could
how
be
do you
anything.
say that? What do you do there?
It could be anything, honestly. I'll go with the good, though. I'll go with the like
All
the
right,
ghost.
probably not Giovanni Gibolino.
Might be.
It's very nice. I just don't know how to
It's
say
very
it.
operatic, but we don't know how to say it. I gotta see
Goat
it.
Sally, Dustin Howe, Kelly with no last name, Cleo the Crime Cat, Kimberly Kaiser, Mary Kate Smoulian, Mallory Ledford, Steve Hollins, J.R. DeGraw, maybe it's Junior, Danielle Hunter, Tammy J. Van Dyke, Rayon McVeigh, it might be Rain, Dana Blake, Brandon Roth. Rayanne?
Followed by Nylon McGee after him. That's
and Silk Stevens.
That's great.
Brandon Roth, Adam Caswell, Christina Dietz, Chris Eggleston, Adria, no last name, Sean Howard, Chris Motley, Melissa with no last name, Brittany McBriar, Heather with no last name, Carter Black, Leslie Savage maybe, Clarissa Phillips, Lori Wolf, Justin Ballou, Kevin Fike. Oh, boy. Macy with no last name. June Hall, Jessica Pedigo, Jason, maybe. Asia D. I don't know. It's a capital J-S-O-N-N. Is that Jason or is it Jason?
That sounds like a tag, like somebody's fucking tag.
It does.
Yeah.
Asia B, Amanda J, Dakota Martin, April Sargent, Stephen Walters, Wilters. There's no A, it's an E. Welters. Hey,
Like a welt. You know, like E's make the S sound. You know how that goes.
I'm trying to do it like Stewart.
That was amazing.
Wilters.
It's like what? Just welter, I think, is probably easy.
Just read the word, dummy.
It's just like a. You were saying, I'm like, is he? He can't mean this, and then I'm like, I think he does mean this. I better say it.
Jaws with no last name. Pasqua de Giannatasmo. What is that name? Degia Diagentamaso. It's fucking Italian.
Centani, okay? Here you go.
Arian Diaz. Jillian Alston. The other player, Timothy Towson. Emmy with no last name. Rebecca Hiltz. Jennifer Lamas. David Gerard. Tony Villa. Loretta B. Robert David. Stephanie Martin. Karsten Podoluk. Luke Rudder, Blue Nanagu, Joshua Rosado, Taylor Mewfelder, W. Cox, Nexus Infusion, CJ McCann, Xana Roth, Lena Mao, I think, Arizona Mom Stacy, Laura with no last name, Mary Ballway. Oh, boy. Heather Hawkins, Harrington, Michael Klein, Matt Stapleton, Maddie Peleshy, Molly with no last name, Sherry Lee, Catherine Mahoney, Josh Jordan, and all of our patrons. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody, so much from the bottom of our hearts. We honestly cannot tell you how thankful we are. We really wish we could.
It's really overwhelming.
We wish we could do a whole show on just how thankful we are, but that would be very boring and no one would listen to it. You'd cancel your Patreon.
Yeah, right.
So, this is boring and unfunny.
We've been through hell and you've changed our lives, so thank you.
They've cried 3 times already. This is pathetic, so no one wants to hear that. So check us out. If you want to find us on social media, very easy to do that. Head over to shutupandgivememurder.com. Buy your tickets there. And while you're doing that, grab those links up at the top that take you over to our social media pages and follow us. And keep coming back and seeing us every week because we're not going anywhere. No. And until next week, everybody, it's been our pleasure.
Bye.
If you like Small Town Murder, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
It takes one guy out there to say, who's that Kyle who thinks he can just get on a microphone on a podcast and start publicizing this?
From iHeart Podcasts and Tenderfoot TV comes a new true crime podcast, Crook County.
I got recruited into the mob when I was 17 years old.
Meet Kenny, an enforcer for the legendary Chicago outfit.
And that was my mission, to snuff the life out of this guy.
He lived a secret double life as a firefighter-paramedic for the Chicago Fire Department.
I had a wife and I had 2 children. Nobody knew anything.
People are dying. Is he doing this every night?
Torn between 2 worlds.
I'm covering up murders that these cops are doing.
He was a freaking crazy man.
We don't know who he is, really.
He is my father, and I had no idea about any of this until now. Welcome to Crook County. Available now. Listen for free on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.